Chapter 566. Boom! A thunderous sound rang out, causing Qin Wentian to feel as though a sharp blade had pierced right through his heart. Fan Lu had disappeared. That kick had caused Fatty to completely vanish. He didn't return. Qin Wentian's eyes instantly turned incomparably red, as though flames were gushing forth from them. Qin Wentian stared at the disappearing silhouette. It was as though he could see Fan Li's youthful silhouette. Fatty, I'm a genius. Fatty isn't lecherous. I'm a philanthropist. That frivolous face appeared in his mind, but with a single kick Fan Lu had completely vanished from his world. That shameless Fatty was Qin Wentian's earliest friend. To him, that Fatty was his best brother, a brother who had gone through life and death with him. He died? Qin Wentian had no way to accept this. Although he knew that the immortal martial realm wasn't an ordinary place, and that there was a high chance of death, when he saw Fan Lu vanishing right before his eyes, Qin Wentian still felt an intense pain in his heart. Yi Lingshuang's eyes also turned red. Onying Guangxing and Chu Meng howled in rage as they turned their heads to stare at the person who had awakened the gigantic demon. That person was a young man whose entire body was bathed in lightning, exuding an unmasked loftiness as he stared at Ouyang Guangxing and the rest with unmasked killing intent. Earlier, I'm sure all of you have already seen their identities. These people are all proficient in this type of movement technique. No matter what, we have to kill a few of them and force them to hand over their movement techniques. Only then would we have a higher chance of success. That young man faintly spoke. He was from the Violet Thunder sect and had long recognized Qin Wentian. Naturally, he could tell that Qin Wentian had an extraordinary relationship with these people. Before the Violet Thunder sect entered, they had received a mission stating that if anyone from the Battle Sword sect had the ability to take the lives of those from the Battle Sword sect, there was no need to be courteous. This order was issued by one of the 7 supremacies. It was said that this supremacy had spoiled his plans by treating Qin Wentian and the Holy Maiden of the Medicine Sovereign Valley, causing one of his disciples, Yi Kongfan, to die. For this debt, this supremacy had no way to settle it with Qin Wentian personally. Hence, he instructed those from the Violet Thunder sect to hunt down Qin Wentian's life. In addition, when the Violet Thunder sect saw the foot of the gigantic demon, they knew that they lacked a good movement technique. Although the movement techniques of the Violet Thunder sect weren't weak, they were inferior when compared to the stellar transposition. The stellar transposition was one of the 9 ultimate arts of Grand Xia. One could say that it was the easiest to learn out of the 9 ultimate arts of Grand Xia Dao. Although Qin Wentian and the rest had cultivated the Blood Curse Imprint, Thunder God Slash, and many other ultimate arts, they were merely proficient in it. The might they could unleash wasn't weak, but they were far from being proficient in it. Back then, Grand Xia was a power on the same level as the Grand Shang Empire. This meant that back then, Grand Xia was on the same level as the 9 great sections. For a movement technique like the stellar transposition, it could be considered a peak-tier movement technique in the Royal Sacred Region. When the crowd saw that Qin Wentian, Qin Zheng and the rest knew it, as well as the words of the young man from the Violet Thunder sect, their eyes all brightened. Naturally, the crowd also noticed the gigantic demon. Although the gigantic demon was awakened, it didn't move at all. It merely grinned and continued stomping on the ground, causing everyone to understand that this gigantic demon was the same as the Black Jiao Python. This was a test for them and it wouldn't easily break the rules to kill them. It only wanted them to pass. However, after the ox demon woke up, its steps became even more chaotic. There were no longer any rhythm to its movements. Sometimes it would simply lift its gigantic leg and hover in the air, baring its fangs. However, no one dared to approach it. Hand over the movement technique. Shi Kuang from the Heaven Crippling sect led his men and surrounded Ouyang Guangxing and the rest. His eyes flickered with a cold light. Shi Kuang was a Heaven's chosen in the Supreme Demon sect, and when he exchanged glances with Qin Wentian earlier, a hint of trepidation appeared in his heart. This was simply a humiliation. Ouyang Guangxing, Yunmangi, Chu Meng and Mu Feng were all surrounded. All of you can die. Ouyang Guangxing roared in rage. Lightning and fire flickered around him as he released his astral souls. Rushing out, he stomped towards the young man from the Violet Thunder sect as a gigantic palm imprint appeared in the air, slamming outwards. Lightning? Why would people from my Violet Thunder sect fear lightning? The arrogance of the young man from the Violet Thunder sect grew even thicker. He, Kei-chung, had always been brooding over the fact that he didn't obtain the immortal martial medallion. And now, a nameless nobody actually dared to act against him? Wrath of the Thunder God. Kei-chung howled in rage, causing the entire space to tremble. Bolts of lightning tore through the air, shattering Ouyang Quangxing's attack into pieces. Thunder God slash. Ouyang Quangxing roared as a beam of lightning slashed downwards. That oppressive might of lightning caused Kei-chung to feel a chill in his heart. What a powerful innate technique. Although Ouyang Quangxing had no way to unleash the true might of the Thunder God slash, how could Kei-chung not be able to tell how powerful this innate technique was? A bright light flashed as Kei-chung released his astral souls. A pair of lightning wings appeared on his back, as terrifying lightning runes manifested around him, clashing together with the Thunder God slash. The tyrannical might of the lightning caused the entire space to tremble unceasingly. The others from the Violet Thunder sect didn't act. If they helped Ouyang Quangxing, it would be an insult to Kei-chung. Kei-chung was a personal disciple of one of the 7 supremacies. His status in the Violet Thunder sect was even higher compared to Yi Kongfan, whom Qin Wentian killed. His talent was also higher, but he didn't manage to obtain the immortal martial medallion. Although the immortal martial realm medallion was sent to the Violet Thunder sect, it was given to someone else. And it was precisely because of that person that the supremacy of the Violet Thunder sect personally made a trip to the Yi country. Ouyang Quangxing was forced backwards as a rune blasted into his body. Although it was only the aftershock of the attack, it still left a bloody wound on his chest. If they don't hand over their movement arts, cripple them one by one. That woman, take off her clothes. Let's see if these people will hand it over or not. A venomous voice rang out from the mouth of a young man from another alliance. Ouyang Quangxing turned his gaze over as his countenance abruptly changed. There were simply too many people on the floating bridge, and he hadn't noticed this person before. But now that he took a closer look, he actually saw someone he was familiar with. The Great Solar Chen clan back then had 3 heavens chosen. These 3 obtained the 3 sacred royal medallions of the Great Solar Chen clan. 2 of them were Chan Fan and Great Solar Chen King, but both of them died. Only one of them managed to escape after the Great Solar Chen clan was destroyed. Chan Zhao was once a famous character on the Heavenly Fate rankings. He rose to fame even earlier than Chan Fan and Chan Wang, and was a character that could shake the wind and clouds in Granxia. After the Great Solar Chen clan was destroyed, Chan Zhao left Granxia with the Sacred Royal Medallion, as well as the conviction of revenge. After that, he joined the Great Earth sect. Qin Wentian didn't know Chan Zhao. If not, back then when he was in Xianqing City, he would have already noticed Chan Zhao's existence when the Great Earth sect invited him to join. It was precisely because Chan Zhao spoke to an expert from the Great Earth sect that the Great Earth sect wanted to recruit Qin Wentian. Chan Zhao told the expert from the Great Earth sect that Qin Wentian had an immortal art on him. After entering the immortal martial realm, Chan Zhao had always been searching for an opportunity to deal with Qin Wentian. Now that there was someone who acted against Ouyang Quangxing, Chan Zhao didn't mind saying a few words to sow discord. Chan Zhao, back then when you participated in the Heavenly Fate rankings, I was still a young boy. When I saw your glory, I couldn't help but feel respect for you. Who would have thought that you would have already fallen to such a state now? How sad. Ouyang Quangxing stared at Chan Zhao, his words causing Chan Zhao to frown. Ouyang Quangxing actually knew him? On the other side, Yi Lingshuang stared at Qin Wentian as she called out, "Wentian, I have to go back." Qin Wentian once again stood at the foot of the gigantic foot, causing Yi Lingshuang's heart to pound. Every stomp of the gigantic foot of death could claim his life. If Qin Wentian wanted to go back, he would have to come back here again. Not only that, the gigantic foot of death was still conscious. "I'll accompany you." Yi Lingshuang gritted her teeth. "No, Sister Lingshuang, you and Qinzheng stay here. If those who acted against Ouyang Quangxing and the others come over, just attack them and kill them." Qin Wentian turned his head and stared at Yi Lingshuang, his countenance solemn. Yi Lingshuang knew that it would be even more dangerous if she went over. Hence she could only nod her head in agreement. Qin Wentian's words caused the hearts of those on the other side to pound. Regardless of those from the Violet Thunder sect or the Heaven Crippling sect, they had actually neglected the fact that Qin Wentian could kill them from the other side. But very swiftly, Kei Cheng's furrowed brows relaxed. They had people in their hands, what was there to be afraid of? They wanted to see if Qin Zheng and Yi Lingshuang would dare to act against them. Wentian, don't come over, you stay there as well, Ouyang Quangxing shouted. It was too dangerous for Qin Wentian to come over. Not only that, there were too many people on the other side. Even if Qin Wentian came over, there would only be a path of death for him. No. Qin Wentian's gaze was resolute as he spoke. I'll go over and accompany you all. Sister Lingshuang, if anything happens to us, don't spare any of us. Kill every single one that comes. Since you all want to play, just stay here forever. Qin Wentian's voice was filled with decisiveness, his words causing the countenances of those on the other side to turn pale. This fellow had gone mad. If anything happened to them, they would all be buried together with them. The people on this floating bridge would all remain in the immortal martial realm. Boom! Astral light flashed as a thunderous boom rang out. Qin Wentian activated stellar transposition. He had to go over there no matter what. He had 2 lives, and even if he died in the immortal martial realm, he would still have a body. He had to take revenge. He had to bring Ouyang Quangxing and the others over. Interesting. Qin Wentian didn't notice that the gigantic demon in the air had a grin on his face as an expression of interest flashed in his eyes. When Qin Wentian appeared beneath his feet, the gigantic demon stomped down once again. No. Yi Lingshuang paled when she saw this scene. Not only her, Ouyang Quangxing and Chu Meng were all howling in terror. Yun Mingyi's countenance turned pale as well. Rumble! A thunderous sound echoed out. No matter how strong Qin Wentian was, nothing remained of him. Vile beast! Ouyang Quangxing inclined his head, staring at the gigantic demon in the air. That gigantic demon grinned as it stared at Ouyang Quangxing. Little brat, are you courting death? I'm not afraid of you. Ouyang Quangxing howled in rage. Lightning crackled around him as he lunged towards the gigantic demon in the air. The gigantic demon grinned again as it lifted its gigantic foot and moved forward, causing the hearts of the spectators to tremble. This fellow could move his foot as he wished? Run! Everyone frantically fled, only to see the gigantic foot descending from the skies, pressing down on Ouyang Quangxing. It was simply invincible. Qin Wentian initially thought that he had died, but in reality he didn't. That gigantic foot didn't crush him flat, but rather, it brought him to another dimension. His heart pounded wildly, unable to calm down even after a long time. Qin Wentian closed his eyes and drew in a deep breath as he stared at the cave dwelling in front of him. Path of life and death. 3 words were engraved on the exterior of the cave dwelling, causing Qin Wentian to feel as though he had found a new lease of life. He didn't die. In that case, Fatty definitely didn't die as well. Chapter 567. Qin Wentian walked out of the cavern. This cavern, named the Path of Life and Death, was extremely spacious, and there was an old ox standing there. That's right, this ox demon was standing like a human, causing Qin Wentian to feel somewhat awkward. But when he looked at the features of this ox demon, Qin Wentian also felt that it was extremely unique. Because this ox demon had an appearance, it could be distinguished from other ox demons, just like how there were differences in the appearances of different humans. It was easy to differentiate humans from humans, but when you looked at demons of the same species, you would feel that they were all the same. This ox demon was different from the rest. It clearly contained a trace of human spiritual qi. Not only that, it was none other than the gigantic demon outside. Are you very strange? The body of the old ox wasn't as gigantic as before. He stared at Qin Wentian as he grinned. The gigantic demon outside and the current me are merely my clones. I'm in charge of managing the cavern of life and death in the immortal martial realm. Qin Wentian's countenance stiffened. In that case, there were many mysterious places in the immortal martial realm that were managed by different experts. Senior Ox, my speed isn't slow at all. I should be able to pass that test, right? Isn't this test a little too unfair? Qin Wentian asked. Haha, little brat, you want to talk about fairness with me? Letting you come to the cavern of life and death earlier is already giving you face. Let me tell you the truth, for those who are slow, I stomp them to death for real. You were also stomped by me, but just like what you said, your speed isn't slow, hence I didn't stomp you to death and sent you to the cavern of life and death. But don't be so lucky. There are only 2 paths in the cavern of life and death. The ox demon stared at Qin Wentian as he grinned. There are 4 great tests in the Cavern of Life and Death: the Cavern of Cultivation Base, the Cavern of Innate Techniques, the Cavern of Martial Intent, and the Cavern of Combat. Now you can choose which type of test you want to accept. Listen to me clearly: if you pass the test, you will live. If you fail, you will die. There is no third path. Qin Wentian frowned. It was useless to reason with these old demons. Since he was brought here, he could only obediently accept the test. There was no other choice. But why did the ox demon say that he would be sent here earlier? Could it be that if he walked along the pontoon bridge, he would also enter the life and death cave? What's the difference between the 4 tests? Qin Wentian asked. Idiot, you can tell the difference just by listening to the name. Cultivation Realm. If you break through your cultivation realm within a certain period of time, you will pass, the old ox pointed out, causing Qin Wentian's heart to tremble. In that case, the life and death cave of the divine ability required a certain period of time to comprehend the divine ability. The life and death cave of martial intent required a certain amount of time to break through the will of martial arts. So ruthless. Qin Wentian cursed in his heart. It was not easy to break through the realm. This was definitely not an option. In this case, he could only choose the other 3 assessments. Isn't it too difficult for me to make a breakthrough within the limited time? Qin Wentian asked again. What do you want to say? Just ask directly, don't play any tricks. Little brat, I will give you a hint. Other than the life and death cave of the divine ability, I will allow you to comprehend the other 3 assessments first. This is a type of good fortune. I wouldn't even allow ordinary people to come here. The old ox grinned, his expression gleaming with an evil light. He stared at Qin Wentian. Have you made your choice? I have 4 types of mandates. Qin Wentian replied. You can choose any one of them first. As long as it is within my control, I will allow you to enter. The old ox spoke. Some of the mandates belonged to the more bizarre ones and weren't within his control. But for ordinary mandates, they could be found in the immortal martial realm. Demon. Qin Wentian gambled. Release your will of the mandate of demons. The old ox grinned. Qin Wentian released his mandate of demons, allowing the old ox to sense it. At this moment, Qin Wentian's suppressed cultivation base and mandates were all released. The old ox turned and entered a cavern. An instant later he walked out again and stared at Qin Wentian. His gaze caused Qin Wentian's hairs to stand on end. 2 hours. Perfect your mandate of demons and pass the life and death cave of the divine ability. If not, you fail. The old ox grinned, causing Qin Wentian's countenance to instantly turn pale. Senior ox, are you joking? 2 hours? Perfection of mandates? What a joke. If 2 hours could allow one's mandate to reach the perfection boundary, wouldn't there be countless people with mandates at the perfection boundary everywhere in the royal sacred region? This place is the life and death cave of the divine ability. There's only life or death. There's no such thing as jokes. Now I have already started the countdown. The old ox's smile was exceptionally radiant. Bastard! Qin Wentian cursed in a low voice. After which, he rushed out and entered the cavern. He knew that it was useless even if he spoke to the old ox. In this place the old ox was the overlord. Unless he could kill the old ox, there was no way he could reason with him. Within the cavern, astral light flowed about. It was exceptionally resplendent. It was as though he was in a miraculous dimension. Everything around him vanished as he appeared in front of a mountain range. In front of him there was a young black hawk. This black hawk was very small. It was slowly learning how to fly. Its tiny wings flapped about, exuding an aura of cuteness. Its wings gradually developed as the black hawk grew bigger. It began to soar in the air from slow to fast. Gradually it became as fast as lightning, akin to a raging gale. In the process of its flight, its wings grew more and more plump as its eyes grew sharper and more mature. It began to hunt. The black hawk soared through the air, slammed into the waves and fought against demonic beasts. Its eyes gradually turned cold, tyrannical, and filled with a boundless sharpness. It swooped down from the sky, its sharp claws tearing apart the giant python. It invaded the demonic beast forest, slaughtering powerful demonic beasts. Its entire body exuded an aura of disdain, looking down on the entire world. The black hawk grew stronger and stronger. Its wingspan spanned over 1,000 meters, transforming into a tyrant of the skies. It stood at the peak of a mountain, staring down at everything below. With just a single glance, it caused the myriad of demonic beasts to submit. With a flap of its wings, it soared up into the skies, forcing the other demonic beasts to retreat. Qin Wentian was like a spectator, standing in the middle of a painting. Wherever the Black Hawk was, he would be there. He could clearly sense that tyrannical aura, that arrogance that looked down on the entire world, as well as that loneliness and stubbornness. It was a demon that fought against the heavens and earth. It stood on the ground, staring up at the skies as though it wanted to tear the heavens apart. When the painting vanished, Qin Wentian felt that he was still in the painting. He kept on recalling the scenes of the past. The mandate of demons was naturally comprehended from the bodies of demonic beasts. If one wanted to achieve perfection in their mandates, they had to truly comprehend the loneliness of demonic beasts, the arrogance of demonic beasts, and the disdain of demonic beasts. Qin Wentian closed his eyes, temporarily forgetting the flow of time. Demonic qi gushed forth from him, as faint sounds of roaring could be heard. The astral energy in his body gushed forth frenziedly, plundering astral energy from the surrounding space, causing it to unceasingly flow into his body. However, the breakthrough of one's mandate wasn't so simple. Although one's comprehension was improving, if one wanted to break through, it wasn't something that could be accomplished overnight. Qin Wentian didn't know the flow of time, but very quickly, over an hour had already passed. Qin Wentian suddenly thought back to the time when the Pill Emperor Hall was in the form of a primordial great rock. When he was in the form of a primordial great rock, he disrupted the heavens and earth, cleaving apart the Pill Emperor Hall with his sword. At that time, he had never seriously examined himself. Everywhere he passed by, all demonic beasts would submit to him. Standing at the peak of a mountain, he stared disdainfully at the demonic beasts in the forest. How lofty was that? Usually, when he used his mandate of demons, although he still exuded the aura of a primordial great rock, it wasn't as realistic as when he was in the form of a primordial great rock, because at that time he was a true demon. Actually, I've long since experienced what the mandate of demons is like. When I transformed into a primordial great rock, I was already the purest form of a demonic beast. Naturally, I would be at the perfection boundary of the mandate of demons. Qin Wentian silently mused. His eyes were tightly clenched as demonic qi enveloped him. The demonic qi radiating from him seemed to give birth to a pair of demonic wings. In the center of his brows, a terrifying sharpness could be sensed. It was as though he wanted to return to the time when he was in the form of a primordial great rock. A terrifying demonic qi gushed forth, engulfing his entire person within. Roaring sounds thundered out, causing the entire cavern to tremble. Finally, Qin Wentian opened his eyes, exuding a demonic aura. Lofty, disdainful, cold, and proud. Rumble! The demonic qi gushed forth, slamming into the air above the cavern. Qin Wentian stood up, turned, and walked out. After exiting the cavern, Qin Wentian faced the ox demon. His back was drenched in cold sweat. He had completely immersed himself in the process of comprehending the mandate of demons. He had forgotten the passage of time, but even so, he still used nearly 2 hours. Such a test was truly a path of death. Congratulations on passing the test of the Cavern of Life and Death. The ox demon laughed. However, Qin Wentian wasn't as excited as he had imagined. He asked, "Since Senior's clone is in charge of the test, you should know about the situation of my friends. Did they pass?" Fan Le should have been dragged into the Cavern of Life and Death as well. What he didn't know was that after he was dragged into the cavern, the ox demon madly stomped a few times on the ground, causing the thousands of participants to flee in panic. Onying Quangxing was also dragged into the Cavern of Life and Death. "You want to help him?" The old ox grinned as though he had ill intentions. "Yes." Qin Wentian nodded his head. "If you take the test one more time, I might consider sparing him. You don't only have one of your friends taking the test." The words of the old ox caused Qin Wentian's countenance to turn ashen. Take the test one more time? Breaking through to the mandate of demons was already a huge stroke of luck. If it wasn't for him transforming into a great rock back then, he would have already died here today. If he were to take the test one more time, one could very well imagine how dangerous it would be. The test of the Cavern of Life and Death is an extremely important test in the immortal martial realm. It concerns the rankings of the immortal martial realm, and it can even allow one's strength to evolve. Why not? The old ox continued to tempt Qin Wentian. Bullshit. Qin Wentian silently cursed in his heart. Rankings? He didn't care about it at all. The evolution of his strength was what he wanted, but first, he had to pass the test before it could be considered a transformation. If he didn't pass, it would only be a path of death. If I take the test one more time, would Senior agree to help my two friends? Qin Wentian asked. I will consider it myself. The test of the Cavern of Life and Death shall be decided by me. The old ox still had a mischievous smile on his face. Qin Wentian had no way to get more information out of him. Fine, I will choose the innate techniques test. I hope that Senior will keep your words. Qin Wentian steeled his heart. Other than Fan Lu, the ox demon said that there was another person taking the test. He didn't know if he would be able to pass or not. Qin Wentian could only go all out. If he died, that would be his life. He still had a body, and the lives of his brothers were more precious than his. Chapter 568. The ox demon laughed when he heard Qin Wentian's words. After which, he asked, release all the mandates you're proficient in for me to see. Qin Wentian didn't reply. He released all 4 of his mandates. The ox demon continued, in order to lower the difficulty of the test, I'll allow you to choose any innate technique you want. For example, sword innate techniques, illusionary innate techniques, hammer type innate techniques, or demonic innate techniques. Think carefully, this is the test of the Cavern of Life and Death, it's not a joke. If you fail, you will die for sure. As the controller of the Cavern of Life and Death, I have to abide by this rule. Since Qin Wentian had already made his choice, he didn't feel any more burdens. His mind started to ponder. In recent years, he had been trying to comprehend innate techniques using his mandates. His halberd arts and spear arts were all created by himself, and they were very suitable for him. He had also cultivated the ultimate arts of Grand Xia before. For example, the blood curse imprint was a palm art. However, he wasn't proficient in the blood curse imprint, hence it was impossible for him to cultivate it to grand completion. He was very clear that if an innate technique was powerful, it would have to be intimately integrated with one's mandate. The test should be in this direction as well. And for his mandates, the first 3 could be intimately integrated with palm arts. His halberd arts and spear arts weren't weak, and his sword arts were strong as well. I choose palm innate techniques, Qin Wentian stated. Okay. Please wait a moment. The ox demon stepped into the cavern again. This time around, Qin Wentian seriously observed the interior of the cavern only to see that one of the walls had already lit up. It was actually a golden stone wall that transformed into a library. This library was like a treasure vault, and the ox demon seemed to be searching for something inside. The ox demon knew that Qin Wentian was watching, but he didn't stop him. Qin Wentian, on the other hand, was extremely shocked in his heart. Right now, he could already confirm some of the rumors regarding the immortal martial realm. The master of the immortal martial realm was most probably an immortal existence. It was just that he didn't know if he was still alive or not. If not, it would be impossible for him to possess such an independent world. This immortal martial realm was like a gigantic treasure trove. There were so many ancient sects in the royal sacred region, yet none of them dared to covet it. Before long, the cavern dimmed. The ox demon walked out and said to Qin Wentian, "You can go in now. This time I'll give you 1 day. If the palm technique you comprehend is recognized, you'll pass the test. Otherwise, if you fail, you'll die. Fortunately, we have a day this time." Qin Wentian secretly felt lucky. If it was another 2 hours, then it would really be a dead end. He knew very well how long it took him to comprehend the divine ability in the past. 1 day was already very, very short. Luckily, there should be another scene in the cavern. Qin Wentian once again stepped into the cavern. Astral light flashed, and as expected, he once again stood in the middle of the cavern. The astral light weaved together to form a picture, as though he was once again in a mysterious space. In this space, Qin Wentian saw a silhouette. This silhouette stood in the air with his back facing him. His palms were incomparably resplendent, interweaving with terrifying astral light. His palms were extremely stable, not moving in the slightest. However, at this instant the arm of the silhouette moved. Lifting his hand, a palm imprint blasted out, blasting towards the sky. In an instant, this palm imprint was so powerful that it seemed as though it wanted to shatter the constellations in the sky. Bang! Above the sky, a gigantic palm imprint appeared, imprinting itself onto the sky. The five-fingered palm imprint seemed to be engraved into the hearts of everyone present. Although it didn't hit anything, the effect of this palm was even more terrifying, leaving behind a gigantic palm imprint in the air. Under this palm, what couldn't be destroyed? That silhouette retracted his palm and blasted out another palm strike, repeating the same action over and over again. Above the sky, incomparably clear gigantic palm imprints appeared unceasingly, causing the entire sky to tremble as though it was about to collapse. Such a pure palm imprint, I can't even tell what kind of mandate is contained within it. Or perhaps this palm imprint is the purest of palm imprint innate techniques, able to suit any mandate. As long as it's strong, it'll be strong. Qin Wentian silently mused. This palm imprint didn't have any secret manuals, nor did it have any usage methods. There was only this scene that was repeated over and over again. This was something he had to comprehend himself, comprehending a palm technique that belonged to him. The myriad of innate techniques were all created by humans. No matter how powerful an innate technique was, it was still created by an expert and was constantly perfected. With regards to this point, Qin Wentian was very clear in his heart. For example, he had cultivated halberd arts since a long time ago, but the halberd arts he created back then were extremely weak. But as he grew stronger, his halberd arts grew stronger as well. And now, he even created the void halberd art. Not only was its might terrifying, it was also capable of bewitching the hearts of others. As he thought of this, Qin Wentian stretched out his palms. He thought of the thousand hands imprint and lifted his palms, blasting them out in the air. He simply infused the mandate of force and the mandate of demons into his palms, but the power he could unleash was extremely limited. It was as though over 1,000 palm imprints had appeared. Qin Wentian's aura changed. The will of the mandate of demons at the perfection boundary gushed forth. He was lofty, cold, and disdainful as he stood there, unexcelled in the world. Boom! He blasted out another palm imprint, causing the entire space to tremble. With the augmentation of the mandate of demons, the might of his palm imprint had clearly increased. The final stance of the thousand hands imprint, the great thousand hands imprint, is the quintessence of this innate technique. Back then when I was cultivating in the Emperor Star Academy, I was still too weak. But now, I should be able to better fuse it with my mandate of force. The thousand hands imprint has a myriad of palm imprints, and the second level of my mandate of force, the void shockwave. If these palm imprints were to stack together and transform into a shockwave, the might of the attack would be 100 times greater. As Qin Wentian thought of this, he focused on the mandate of force. Using the thousand hands imprint as the foundation, he executed it over and over again, causing himself to sink into a trance. It was as though he was in the same space as that silhouette. Both of them unceasingly blasted out palm imprints, yet Qin Wentian's palm imprints had no way to leave a mark in the air. In the blink of an eye, a day passed. Right now, Qin Wentian's palm arts were already extremely powerful. With a single palm strike, the myriad of palm imprints converged into a powerful current, sweeping through the entire space, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. This was especially so when he infused his mandate of demons and divine energy into his palm imprints, causing the might of his palm imprints to be even more tyrannical. However, he still wasn't able to leave a mark in the air. He knew that leaving a mark in the air was the symbol of success. Time's up. Qin Wentian lowered his arms as he spoke. A day's worth of time was truly too short. It was simply too difficult to leave a mark in the air. Focus on comprehending. I forgot to tell you that the cavern is actually a grand illusion realm, causing you to feel as though time flowed extremely quickly. In reality, only an hour has passed. The voice of the ox demon drifted over, causing Qin Wentian to freeze as he cursed in a low voice. You tricked me? How can this lord's words be a joke? If you don't complete the test within a day, you will die for sure. It's just that you are trapped in a grand illusion realm, causing you to have a misperception of time, as though you are in a dream. The cold voice of the ox demon drifted over, causing Qin Wentian's heart to tremble. He believed the words of the ox demon. Sometimes a long time would pass in a dream, but in truth only a short moment had passed. He had experienced this before in the royal tomb, and it was extremely clear to him. It was just that this ox demon was truly sinister. He actually didn't tell him about this before. But luckily, he still had plenty of time to comprehend. Illusionary realm, dreamland, and reality are only separated by a single thought. Qin Wentian silently mused. He unceasingly waved his palms, attempting to infuse the mandate of dreams into the thousand hands imprint, wanting to trigger a qualitative change, just like his void halberd. It was very difficult. Without the ancient halberd as a medium, it would require a complete fusion. But the great thousand hands imprint required millions of palm imprints at different frequencies. The formless force ripples of the great thousand hands imprint were difficult to fuse with. Pulsation, I have to find the common pulsation frequency. Just like the huge waves of the sea, when all the waves burst forth at the same time, it would be akin to a tsunami. If my void shockwaves were to fuse together with the thousand hands imprint, transforming into a single palm imprint, how powerful would that be? Qin Wentian quickly immersed himself in his cultivation, forgetting the passage of time. His palm imprints grew stronger and stronger. Qin Wentian unceasingly blasted out tens of millions of palm imprints with boundless might. However, these tens of millions of palm imprints gradually converged, turning into hundreds of palm imprints, which then turned into tens of palm imprints. But the might of the palm imprints only grew more and more terrifying. The earlier palm imprints flowed like the waves of the sea, while the latter palm imprints were like raging waves crashing against the shore. The formless void shockwaves were completely fused together with the palm imprints, erupting forth at the very last instant. Qin Wentian was in this space for the 9th day. The silhouette in front of him was still unceasingly waving his palm imprints. Qin Wentian did the same as well. Thunderous rumbling sounds shook the heavens and earth as a heaven-shaking aura flowed about. Ultimately, all of it transformed into a single palm strike, leaving behind a single mark in the air. However, Qin Wentian didn't stop. He continued his attempts, unceasingly leaving behind a gigantic palm imprint in the air. Until one instant when Qin Wentian waved his palm once more, a towering aura gushed forth, yet no palm imprints appeared. Nothing was blasted out. Boom! Abruptly, a thunderous sound thundered out. In the air, an incomparably gigantic palm imprint slammed down, causing the hearts of those who saw it to tremble. Qin Wentian laughed. This palm strike was even stronger than his void halberd. This innate technique shall be named the Great Void Thousand Imprints. Qin Wentian silently mused. However, the amount of astral energy consumed by this strike was simply too terrifying. As he thought of the amount of astral energy in his body, Qin Wentian discovered that all 4 of his yuanfu were completely emptied. But since he didn't die, it meant that the time limit wasn't up yet. He had already passed the test. You can cultivate in there. The ox demon's voice drifted over, as though he knew what Qin Wentian was thinking. Qin Wentian's heart was filled with joy. The astral energy in this cavern was extremely dense. It was definitely a heavenly paradise. How could he miss this opportunity? He immediately sat down and began his cultivation. After the astral energy in his 4 yuanfu was replenished, Qin Wentian exited the cavern only to see the ox demon smiling at him. Your strength has improved again. Do you want to thank me? Or do you want to try again? Will there be any rewards for passing 3 consecutive tests in the cavern of life and death? Qin Wentian furrowed his brows as he asked. Naturally, if you pass 3 consecutive tests in the cavern of life and death, I will send you to a good place to accept a challenge. If you can pass, you will be able to obtain some good stuff in advance. The ox demon grinned. Good. Next, I will take the test of martial intent, the mandate of force. Qin Wentian's furrowed brows relaxed. After which, he mimicked the ox demon and grinned. He stared at his opponent as he released his will of mandates. This was the transformation boundary of the 2nd level. Seeing the smile on Qin Wentian's face, the smile on the ox demon's face vanished as a strange expression appeared on his face. I've been tricked. The ox demon silently cursed as he stared at Qin Wentian. Seems like you were already on the verge of breaking through, and were intentionally trying to trick me. Brat, you better remember this. After speaking, the ox demon turned and entered the cavern again. The smile on Qin Wentian's face grew even more radiant. Chapter 569. After the ox demon exited the cavern, Qin Wentian entered as well. Not even an hour later, Qin Wentian walked out as he stared at the ox demon with a smile that was not a smile on his face. When he was comprehending the great void thousand imprints, he had already sensed that his mandate of force was on the verge of a breakthrough. As long as he pushed on, he would definitely be able to reach the perfection boundary of his mandate of force. However, he didn't do so. He forcibly suppressed the thought of a breakthrough and intentionally tricked the ox demon, hoping to gain some benefits. Hence, the third trial of the Cavern of Life and Death was easily completed. Qin Wentian's mandate of force also stepped into the perfection boundary. Senior Ox, what about my benefits? Qin Wentian smiled as he stared at the ox demon. Don't be in such a hurry, didn't I say there would be more trials? If you want to gain benefits, you have to pass this trial first. The ox demon grinned, causing Qin Wentian to feel a sense of unease. This ox demon was extremely cunning. Every time he smiled like this, it meant that he was up to no good. Most probably, this ox demon was plotting against him again. Qin Wentian was extremely depressed. The master of the immortal martial realm seemed to have given the guardians of the Cavern of Life and Death a huge amount of authority, allowing them to do whatever they wanted. That black Jiao python was like that, but this ox demon had even more authority, managing the trials of the Cavern of Life and Death. Not only that, he didn't know what methods the ox demon would use to deal with him. Don't worry, the test this time around is absolutely fair. I will allow you to gather together with those on the floating bridges, and those who entered the Cavern of Life and Death, and engage in an extremely fair battle. If you can become the only one, it means that you have passed my test. The ox demon shrugged his head and grinned, causing Qin Wentian to want nothing more than to punch him in the head. Become the only one? No matter what kind of trial it was, how could it be so easy to become the only one? Although the 81 participants who obtained the medallion stepped onto 81 different bridges, there were still geniuses from the various sects on each bridge. There were so many demon-level geniuses in the Royal Sacred Region, and although the 81 participants were the cream of the crop, it didn't mean that the others were mediocre. His senior brother, Duan Han, was the personal disciple of Sword Sovereign Ling Tian. Other than him, there were a total of 3 participants from the Battle Sword sect who obtained the medallion. As long as he wanted to become the only one, the difficulty was bound to be extraordinary. What could Qin Wentian say? Before he could say anything, the bull demon waved its hand and sent him flying. When Qin Wentian reappeared, he appeared on the pontoon bridge. However, this time the pontoon bridge extended in all directions. The scenery in front of Qin Wentian was like a floating city. It was very big. The others were scattered all over the place in search of their own opportunities. Qin Wentian did not know what happened to the others when he was in the Life and Death cave, but he knew that it must not be simple. I hope everyone is well, Qin Wentian thought to himself. His body flickered as he looked ahead. In the distance there seemed to be a misty illusion. After a while there seemed to be a mystical place emerging. The test that the ox demon mentioned, could it be there? Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as he sped forward. Not long after, Qin Wentian arrived at the boundary of the pontoon bridge as he stared downwards. Everywhere he looked, the mist gradually dissipated as everything became incomparably clear. In front of him there seemed to be an ancient battlefield with many stone platforms. The stone platforms were like ancient battle platforms, and on top of each platform, there was an ancient war drum. These war drums quietly sat there, and each of them exuded a mystical aura, as though they were connected to the heavens and earth. These drums are so mysterious, they aren't ordinary war drums at all. Qin Wentian's gaze froze. With a single glance, he could see that there were hundreds of stone platforms, and on top of each platform there was a war drum. It was as though they were prepared for those who stepped on the pontoon bridge. Rumble! An intense rumbling sound rang out. At the very front of this ancient battlefield, in the air above, an incomparably gigantic stone monument descended from the skies. The stone monument exuded a terrifying battle intent. A thunderous boom rang out as the stone monument landed on the ground, directly embedding itself into the ground. This stone monument shone with a terrifying light that cascaded down onto each and every war drum. Momentarily, the war drums began to emit rumbling sounds, as though they were filled with an intense will to battle, summoning the warriors who were beating them. At this moment, no matter where they were on the pontoon bridge, everyone could clearly see the situation over there. They could also feel the energy radiating from the stone monument. That energy was ancient and powerful, as though it could shatter the heavens and earth. It was as though there was a fearsome battle spirit within, containing an incomparably strong will to battle. A series of voices frantically flashed in that direction, as if they were being summoned by the war drums. After a while, many people appeared at the edge of the strange space in front of them. They looked at the ancient battle stone tablet and saw the words written on it. They quickly understood the purpose of these war drums. Wentian. A voice drifted over. Qin Wentian turned only to see Yi Lingshuang, Qin Zhang, Yunmanyi, Chu Meng and Mu Feng. Staring at the expressions on their faces, Qin Wentian laughed. The ox demon didn't trample me to death. I was only brought to a trial named the Cavern of Life and Death. It's good that you're fine. In that case, Fan Lu and Ouyang are fine as well. Chu Meng heaved a sigh of relief. Yi Lingshuang's eyes reddened. Qin Zheng had a smile on his face. Mu Feng was still expressionless, and Yun Mengyi turned her head away, hiding her eyes from view. Ouyang was also trampled to death by the ox demon? Only now did Qin Wentian understand who the ox demon was referring to. When he saw the ox demon trampling you to death, Ouyang immediately cursed it in anger. After which the ox demon stomped down and Ouyang ended up in the same state as you. Not only that, the ox demon seemed to be enraged as it trampled madly, killing countless people. But from the looks of it now, it didn't really want to kill you guys. I was wondering why this trial was so monstrous. Qin Zheng explained. It's not so easy to survive the trial of the Cavern of Life and Death. An expression of worry appeared on Qin Wentian's face. Although the old ox promised him that he would take care of them, he still couldn't help but feel worried when he didn't see Fan Lu and Ouyang. As for the others, once they were dragged into the Cavern of Life and Death, they would either live or die. We've also encountered the trial of the Cavern of Life and Death, but we didn't know how dangerous it was. Hence we didn't dare to attempt it. What's inside exactly? Yi Lingshuang asked. Qin Wentian explained, causing the others to feel worried for Fan Lu and Ouyang. You actually haven't died yet. A cold voice drifted over. Qin Wentian and the rest turned their gazes to the left only to see a row of silhouettes standing in the air. It was none other than Kei Chang from the Violet Thunder sect. This person is from the Violet Thunder sect. It was precisely him who awakened the ox demon and almost caused Fan Lu to die. Chu Meng glared at Kei Chang in rage. What happened back then? Who were the people who wanted to act against you guys? Qin Wentian icily asked. Those from the Violet Thunder sect, the Heaven Crippling sect, and the Great Earth sect. Qin Zheng calmly replied. Great Earth sect? Qin Wentian's voice was filled with killing intent. Yes, Ouyang recognized a disciple from the Great Earth sect. He said that he had participated in the heavenly fate rankings of Granxia before you and Ouyang, and his name is Chan Qin. Qin Zheng reminded Qin Wentian. Instantly, Qin Wentian thought of the great Solar Chan clan. Over there. Yunmingyi faintly spoke. Her eyes were cold as she stared in a certain direction. Qin Wentian followed Yunmingyi's gaze and saw a young man around 30 years of age. His eyes blazed with fire, resembling a blazing sun, yet when he stared at Qin Wentian, his gaze was filled with an icy coldness. Great Solar Universe Art. Qin Wentian instantly understood that this person was none other than the Great Solar Chan clan. Back then in Xianqing City, Qin Wentian seemed to have met this person before. Back then, when he was in Xianqing City, he seemed to have said something to the elders of the Great Earth sect. Right now, Qin Wentian suddenly recalled that back then, the Great Earth sect truly had a motive for wanting to recruit him. Luckily, he had chosen the Battle Sword sect. Yet another wave of cold intent gushed over. Qin Wentian turned his gaze in another direction, and saw Shirkuang from the Heaven Crippling sect. Qin Wentian similarly stared at him, his eyes gleaming with a cold light. This time around, Shirkuang continued to stare at Qin Wentian. He didn't show any signs of retreating like he did the first time they met. I heard that you want to kill us? Qin Wentian stared at Shirkuang as he asked. The look in your eyes really makes me feel disgusted. Although you are still alive, your life will eventually be taken away. Shi Kuang pointed to the battlefield ahead as he stared at Qin Wentian. Over here, with the aid of the battle drums, you can recover your cultivation base. In fact, you can even unleash strength that far surpasses your current strength. I can already feel the summoning of the battle spirits. This burial ground is extremely suitable for all of you. After Shi Kuang spoke, he slowly turned and walked forward, bringing along a few others from the Heaven Crippling sect as they stepped into the battlefield. You are right. I Shi Kuang want to kill all of you. If you still have the slightest bit of courage, come on in and accept my challenge. Shi Kuang stepped onto a stone platform, standing in front of the battle drums as his killing intent gushed forth. Qin Wentian then turned his gaze onto Chen Zhao and the others from the Great Earth sect. His gaze landed on the person beside Chen Zhao. This person seemed to be the leader of the Great Earth sect. What do you all mean by this? Qin Wentian asked. The young man in the lead stared at Qin Wentian, and upon hearing Qin Wentian's words, he laughed in an extremely amusing manner. When he stared at Qin Wentian, his eyes contained a hint of ridicule, as well as a hint of arrogance. His name was Shen Ting, and he was a heavens chosen from the Great Earth sect. He was extremely strong, and although he couldn't be compared to the most outstanding Heaven Dipper sovereign of the Great Earth sect, he should be ranked 4th or even 3rd among the Heaven Dipper sovereigns. His relationship with Chen Zhao wasn't bad, and Chen Zhao seemed to have some sort of grudge with this person in front of him. Although this person had killed Yi Kongfan before, which was an extremely glorious battle achievement, in Shen Ting's eyes, a 5th-level Heavenly Dipper sovereign actually dared to speak to him in such a manner? This person simply didn't know the immensity of the heavens and earth. Nothing much. Chen Zhao wants your lives. Naturally, I will help him. Just that simple. If you want to fight, I will teach you how to be a proper person. Shen Ting walked towards the battlefield. The arrogance in his eyes couldn't be concealed at all. As for Kei Cheng, he didn't say anything. The Violet Thunder sect had a grudge with Qin Wentian, and Qin Wentian was very clear on this point. The reason why he acted was extremely simple. Did Qin Wentian want to deal with him? Shen Ting's words seemed to be what he wanted to say as well. Hence, Kei Cheng and the others also walked towards the battlefield. Chapter 570. Everyone stepped into the battlefield, standing on their respective platforms as they lightly stroked the battle drums in front of them. Qin Wentian's gaze swept over the battlefield. There were over 100 of them. Let us go as well. Qin Wentian slowly walked out, and an instant later he arrived in front of a battle drum. Around him, Yi Lingshuang, Chu Meng and the rest stood there, with Qin Wentian in the center. Qin Wentian lightly stroked the battle drum as a marvelous feeling gushed forth. It was as though as long as he willed it, he would be able to infuse his will into the battle drum, transforming it into a battle spirit that would fight for him. Just like what the words on the gigantic monument had stated, in this battlefield, the battle drum represented the people. Their cultivation bases were still restricted, but by relying on the battle drum, they could break through this restriction and even surpass their own limits, allowing the battle drum to unleash a terrifying might that surpassed their original cultivation base. But as for how to achieve this, they would have to figure it out themselves. As long as one saw this phenomenon, they all stepped into the battlefield. There were no exceptions. They understood that since such a battlefield had appeared here, it was obvious that they were going to undergo a test. This would be the first true battle after entering the immortal martial realm, and from a certain perspective it would be an extremely fair battle. Boom! Someone used his hands to strike the battle drum, as a surge of battle intent gushed forth, resounding throughout the entire battlefield. Boom boom! Sounds of battle rang out as more and more people tried to strike the battle drum, trying to figure out how to use it to battle. Qin Wentian's perception gushed forth, and after which, he blasted out a palm strike towards the battle drum in front of him. Instantly, a rumbling sound rang out as a marvelous energy emanated from the battle drum, enveloping him like a screen of light. In that instant, Qin Wentian had a strange feeling. He was able to fuse as one with the battle drum. This battle drum had a battle spirit that belonged solely to it. It was born for the sake of battle, and its sole purpose was to find a fighter that could sound it. Boom! Qin Wentian blasted out another palm strike as that marvelous feeling grew stronger and stronger. After the third strike, Qin Wentian seemed to have fused together with the battle spirit of the drum. As long as he willed it, he would be able to use the battle drum to attack in the direction he wanted. Bang! A blazing palm imprint grabbed towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian didn't raise his head, but his perception could clearly sense everything happening in his surroundings. On his left, an incomparably scorching palm imprint of flame shot towards him, wanting to crush him to death. Evidently, someone had already figured out how to use the battle drum a step ahead of him, and had already launched an attack against him. Qin Wentian's palm imprint blasted downwards, slamming into the battle drum. In an instant, a draconic roar erupted from the drum, blasting towards the blazing palm imprint. The sound of a collision rang out in the air as chaotic currents of energy gushed forth. As the clash started, battles broke out in other directions as well. In an instant, the entire space had turned into a real battlefield. Drums thundered, battle spirits roared, and battle intent swept out. Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't be polite when someone ambushed him. He changed his position and faced the person who attacked him head-on. A blood-colored palm imprint slammed down as the blood curse imprint ferociously pounced towards the other party. Humph! That person coldly snorted, not showing any signs of weakness. His flame seemed to contain a layer of heaviness, containing an extremely strong destructive force. They penetrated through the blood-colored palm imprint and blasted towards Qin Wentian. Spatial rupture. Qin Wentian slammed out with his palms as a destructive force blasted out, shattering the attack of his opponent. At the same time, both his palms moved, slamming onto the war drum. In an instant, two gigantic ancient bells appeared, smashing towards his opponent. The sound of the bells reverberated through the air, as though they could pierce through the heart, causing his opponent to groan in pain. The heartbreak ancient bell could pierce through the heart. As the battle started, everyone became more and more proficient in using the war drum to attack. The turbulence of the battle gradually grew more violent. The heartbreak ancient bell chimed, causing one's heart to tremble. Killing intent flashed in the eyes of that person as he started to madly beat the war drum in front of him. Numerous blazing long spears shot out, capable of destroying everything in their path. Qin Wentian acted as though he didn't see it at all. Demonic chi gushed forth as both his palms blasted out unceasingly. Numerous ancient bell chimes shook the heavens and earth, unceasingly piercing the heart. The bell chimes reverberated in the mind of his opponent, and in just an instant, his opponent coughed out a mouthful of blood as his countenance turned pale. The might of this heartbreak bell was actually so terrifying, unceasingly piercing the heart. Numerous strands of sword chi shot out, blasting towards the blazing long spears. The chimes of the 10,000 swords resonated in unison, causing his opponent's countenance to turn pale. Even the ancient bell chimes were trembling, as though his battle intent was unstable. Finally, he coughed out a mouthful of blood as his heart and meridians were shattered. With a thunderous boom, the war drum in front of him actually exploded. That person coughed out yet another mouthful of blood. After that, the miraculous energy within the war drum transformed into a beam of white light that actually shot towards Qin Wentian's war drum, seeping into Qin Wentian's war drum. The radiance radiating from Qin Wentian grew even more resplendent. When he struck his war drum once more, the sound of the drum chimes grew even more intense as his battle intent surged forth. Qin Wentian wasn't the only one who felt this way. When the battle erupted, many had already shattered the war drums of their opponents, causing their own war drums to gain even more strength. This was the battle drum's battle spirit plundering. Destruction was plundering. Attack quickly, plunder. If not, the gap between us will be widened. After Qin Wentian understood, he transmitted his voice to Yi Lingshuang and the others who were beside him. They all nodded as their attacks grew even more violent. Kei Chang from the Violet Thunder sect, Shirkwang from the Heaven Crippling sect, and Shun Ting from the Great Earth sect. These geniuses weren't in a hurry to kill Qin Wentian. After discovering that they could plunder his war drums, they started to launch attacks in a frenzy. Do your best to aid me in plundering. Kei Chang spoke to the other experts from the Violet Thunder sect beside him. They had formed a small alliance, the Alliance of the Violet Thunder sect. If everyone shared the war drums, even if they rose up, they would still be weaker than some of the others. If they wanted to rise up quickly, there was only one method. That was to get the support of others, and with them as the center, they would be the first to rise up. invincible on the battlefield. You guys help me. Shen Ting also spoke. Evidently, he had the same idea as Kei Cheng. Not only them, the leaders of the other alliances all started to plunder the war drums of the geniuses in their alliance. Very swiftly, there were quite a few who rose up. He stepped into the second level of Heavenly Dipper. The will of his mandates in his attacks has also grown stronger. Someone discovered that not long after, Kei Cheng's attacks grew more and more terrifying. The strength of the alliance of experts from the Violet Thunder sect was simply too terrifying. For those who joined the Violet Thunder sect, there were many who were proficient in the mandate of lightning. Lightning had always been an offensive type of energy, and when they joined forces, their attacks would be even more terrifying. Hence, Kei Cheng was already starting to widen the gap between him and the others. Rumble. Under Kei Cheng's thunderous attacks, yet another person was destroyed. His war drum shattered into pieces as he died. No, I can only assist one person in plundering. Only then would I be able to obstruct the rise of these people. Some of the members of the loosely organized alliance could sense the impending danger. They weren't willing to back down and assist others. Their alliance was already unstable, and when they saw Kei Cheng's drumming getting louder and louder, they all sensed the danger. Wentian, we will help you plunder. Yi Lingshuang spoke. Qin Wentian was currently fighting against another person. Upon hearing Yi Lingshuang's words, his brows furrowed. After which, Chu Meng also added, "That's right, if not, the gap between us will only widen." As the sound of his voice faded, a terrifying meteor hammer smashed towards Chu Meng. Chu Meng's palm slammed against the drum as a gigantic battle axe materialized in the air, slamming towards the meteor hammer. The terrifying might of the battle axe engulfed the entire space as it continued on its way towards Chu Meng. The person who attacked Chu Meng was the leader of one of the alliances, and his attack had already reached the second level of Heavenly Dipper. Okay. Qin Wentian nodded his head in agreement. He then turned his gaze onto the person who attacked Chu Meng as a cold light flickered in his eyes. You guys support me, I will be the main attacker. An intense battle intent gushed forth from Qin Wentian. The sound of his drum thundered as the heartbreak bell frenziedly blasted out, akin to a raging tempest as it gushed towards the experts of the alliance. Right? Yi Lingshuang and the others nodded their heads. After which, they started their attacks, helping Qin Wentian to defend against the attacks of their opponents, allowing Qin Wentian to go all out in his attacks. The collisions in the air were extremely resplendent. The sound of the drum thundered through the air. In the air, the heartbreak bell unceasingly flickered as the bell chimes blasted into the air, causing the hearts of the experts of the alliance to pound wildly as their faces flushed red. Numerous blood-colored ancient halberds descended from the skies, appearing in front of the heartbreak bell as they pierced towards the 7 experts of the alliance. Boom! An illusion of a nightmare instantly appeared in their minds. Initially, given their powerful wills, they should have been able to defend against it. However, the heartbreak bell still managed to draw all of their defenses away. Now that they were being assaulted by a nightmare, they could only grit their teeth and attack with all their might. The bell chimes continued ringing out unceasingly, as though it was playing the prelude to destruction. A few of them coughed out fresh blood as their drums shattered, dying on the spot. Not long after, the others were all killed as well. That expert in the lead was the most stubborn, yet his battle drum was penetrated by the ancient halberd. The battle spirit of the battle drum gushed into Qin Wentian's battle drum, its might growing stronger and stronger. And just at the moment when he destroyed the alliance, a flame giant behind him lunged towards Yi Lingshuang, wanting to devour her. Sister Lingshuang, be careful. Qin Wentian's perception sensed this scene as he shouted. Yi Lingshuang's palms instantly blasted out the sound of her battle drum, causing sword chi to sweep through the air. However, she was still a step too late. The flame giant's might towered up into the sky as it bore down on her. Yi Lingshuang coughed out a mouthful of fresh blood as her body was blasted away from her battle drum. Although her battle drum didn't shatter, she had already lost the initiative. Her entire person was separated from the battle spirit of her battle drum, causing her to lose control of it. A terrifying fire dragon lunged towards her. Yi Lingshuang's countenance turned pale. The words on the stone monument clearly stated that in this battlefield, one could only borrow the power of the battle drum to fight. If not, Using one's own power to attack would be considered as violating the rules and would result in death. Staring at the fire dragon that was about to devour her, Yi Lingshuang lifted her palms, preparing for her final attack. Bang! A gigantic palm imprint appeared from the void, directly shattering that attack. Yi Lingshuang's entire body was drenched in sweat as she stared at Qin Wentian. She had just survived a calamity, yet her battle drum was shattered. Luckily, she was separated from her battle drum, which was why she didn't die. "Sister Lingshuang, come behind me," Qin Wentian called out. Yi Lingshuang nodded, her silhouette flickered as she appeared behind Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian turned his gaze onto the person who sneak-attacked Yi Lingshuang. It was none other than Qin Wentian from the Great Solar Chan clan. Although Qin Wentian had a grudge with these people, they didn't attack each other right away. Instead, they were using the fastest speed to increase their strength. But now, Qin Wentian couldn't wait any longer and directly attacked. Chapter 571. Qin Wentian stared at Chen Zhao, his deep eyes gleaming with an intense coldness, filled with disdain. Such sharpness would cause people to involuntarily feel a chill, as though they were being stared at by a ferocious bird of prey. Qin Wentian hated Qin Wentian, but how could Qin Wentian not hate Chen Zhao as well? Back then, the Great Solar Chen clan had forced him into such a miserable state, killing Bai Qing's master and exposing her corpse in Ginkgo. This had directly caused Bai Qing's personality to change. When he thought about how it was unknown whether Bai Qing was dead or alive, the sharpness in Qin Wentian's eyes grew even more penetrative. Boom! The sound of the drum echoed out as a terrifying ancient imprint blasted out, aiming for Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao's eyes flickered with flames of rage. His entire body seemed to be on fire. The power of the flames gushed into the battle drum, transforming into the battle spirit of the drum. With a roar of rage, gigantic fire pythons manifested, twisting the space as they sped towards Qin Wentian. The reason why Chen Zhao wanted to eliminate Qin Wentian as soon as possible was because he was very clear about Qin Wentian's potential. Back then in Granxia, he was an inconspicuous character, but now, he already had a certain level of fame in the royal sacred region. If he allowed him to continue growing, he most probably wouldn't have another chance for revenge. The immortal martial realm was his last chance, borrowing the power of the Great Earth sect to kill Qin Wentian. However, Chen Zhao was a proud man. Before borrowing the power of the Great Earth sect, it would naturally be best if he could rely on his own strength to kill Qin Wentian. The fire serpents resembling magma danced in the air as the scorching hot destructive energy caused the entire space to tremble. Qin Wentian's drumming grew increasingly terrifying as the sound of the drumming grew louder and louder. Millions of palm imprints gushed forth like a tidal wave, crushing apart the terrifying fire serpents as they continued on their way towards Chen Yan. Chen Zhao beat the drum. The flames turned into huge waves that swallowed everything, but they couldn't suppress the attack of the palm. When Shen Ting, who was beside Qin Wentian, saw this scene, a cold gleam flashed in his eyes. He beat the drum to support Qin Wentian, and in an instant, many defensive palm prints appeared in the air, colliding with the power of Qin Wentian's attack. Boom! The blood-colored halberd slashed out, aiming for Shen Ting. This scene caused Shen Ting's eyes to flash with an extremely cold light. He turned his gaze towards Qin Wentian, only to see that Qin Wentian was also staring back at him. The battle intent of the two of them clashed in the air. The sound of the drum trembled. An incomparably huge earth arm grabbed towards Qin Wentian. It was extremely terrifying. This arm seemed to be indestructible and as steady as a mountain. Its might was terrifying as it crushed through the void. Qin Wentian continued beating the drum as an ancient halberd appeared in the air, slamming into the earth arm. A terrifying shattering might gushed forth as the earth arm was torn apart inch by inch. Shen Ting's countenance didn't change at all. He waved his hands again, beating the drum. In that instant, 9 similar arms manifested, tearing through space towards Qin Wentian. Upon feeling the might of those arms, Yi Lingshuang, who was standing behind Qin Wentian, had an expression of nervousness on her face. The gigantic drum in front of Qin Wentian trembled unceasingly as the humming of swords filled the air. A surge of sword might enveloped him as the 9 arms bore down on him. Qin Wentian waved his palms as boundless sword might sliced through the air, shattering those arms into pieces. Busy. With a wave of his gigantic hands, a rain of swords rained down from the skies, blasting towards Shen Ting. This caused Shen Ting to furrow his brows, and he could only continue beating the drum, creating a stone rampart in front of him. Qin Wentian's eyes were as cold as ever. Beside him, Chu Meng and the others were also fighting against those from the Great Earth sect. At this moment, Qin Wentian's palm slammed into his battle drum as a long spear pierced through the air like a bolt of lightning, vanishing into thin air. Chen Yan was currently fighting against Chu Meng, yet at this moment, he only felt a fearsome dream devil energy gushing into his mind. An incomparably intense fluctuation of energy could be felt in front of him, and it was as though he could see Qin Wentian's deep and cold eyes widening in front of him. Qi. A long spear directly pierced through Chen Yan's head as the sound of an explosion rang out. Chen Yan died and his battle drum shattered. His battle spirit transformed into a beam of light that fused into the battle drum in front of Qin Wentian. A terrifying killing intent gushed over. Shen Ting continued beating the drum, yet Qin Wentian wasn't afraid at all. He defended against his opponent's attacks, and his aura grew even stronger. Staring at Shen Ting, he coldly stated, "Is this how you teach me how to be a person? How disappointing. You will see for yourself." An intense killing intent flashed in Shen Ting's eyes. His attacks abruptly changed direction, shifting to the side, no longer entangling with Qin Wentian. He wasn't able to take down Qin Wentian in a short period of time, yet he could see that Ke Chang and the others were still growing stronger. This wasn't a good sign. Although he was confident that he could kill Qin Wentian, if he couldn't end this battle in a short period of time, the other geniuses would be able to widen the gap between them. To him, that was something he couldn't accept. If at the end there was an existence that could suppress everyone, that would be their doomsday. Only he, Shen Ting, would be able to deal with this. Qin Wentian understood Shen Ting's thoughts. Since he'd already killed Chen Zi, Qin Wentian wasn't in a hurry to continue fighting with Shen Ting. Since Shen Ting could think of this, he naturally could as well. If they continued fighting, he would only be the fisherman who reaped the benefits. Shen Ting wasn't the only enemy on the battlefield. In truth, since everyone here had stepped into the battlefield, it meant that other than the allies they could trust, the others were all mortal enemies. Earlier, when they clashed with the experts from the Great Earth sect, there were already many pairs of eyes staring at them, seemingly hesitating on whether they should attack or not. Now, it was naturally time to deal with these people. Attack, plunder, grow stronger. This seemingly fair battlefield was actually extremely cruel. Everyone had to fight. If you weren't strong enough, others would grow stronger and plunder your life away. You couldn't even give up. Since you've already stepped into this battlefield, if you wanted to flee now, the instant you stepped away from the battle drums, there would be countless destructive attacks raining down on you, wanting to claim your life. After stepping into this battlefield, there was no longer a path of retreat. One could only fight and plunder. Maybe this was the cruelty of the immortal martial realm. At this moment on the battlefield, chaotic chi currents churned frenziedly. Experts fell unceasingly. The battle drums shattered unceasingly as the number of people on the battlefield decreased unceasingly. However, the remaining alliance members were all elites. Right now, there were only 13 alliance members left on this battlefield. The number of people in each alliance was different, but adding all of them together, there were less than 100 people left. And for the leaders of these 13 alliances, the strength of many of their attacks was already equivalent to the 5th level of Heavenly Dipper, with 2nd level mandates at the transformation boundary. The strongest among them was none other than the leader of the Violet Thunder Sect's alliance, Ke Chang. This person was extremely intelligent. From the start, he didn't clash head-on with those powerful characters. It wasn't that he didn't dare to, but rather, he chose to avoid the strong and plunder the weak, frenziedly accumulating his strength. In addition to the overall strength of the Violet Thunder Sect's alliance, Ke Chang was the leader of the alliance. Not only that, the remaining 13 alliances were all extremely united. If not, they wouldn't have been able to reach this step. But even so, the alliance now only existed in name. Because they were all focused on supporting a single person, the disparity in strength between them had widened. There was basically nothing they could do to help. Ke Chang, everything depends on you. The experts from the Violet Thunder Sect all spoke. Ke Chang nodded his head lightly. With a wave of his hand, The sound of his drum reverberated through the air. Instantly, lightning danced in the air as the experts from the Violet Thunder sect all retreated, severing their connection with their battle drums. After which, the lightning directly blasted into their battle drums. Kei-chung plundered the battle souls of their battle drums, causing the might radiating from him to grow even stronger. After which, the experts from the Violet Thunder sect all retreated behind Kei-chung. Wentian, Chu Meng and the others stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian nodded his head. He also understood the current situation. Only he could shatter the battle drums of Chu Meng and the others. Prepare yourself. Qin Zheng spoke. Qin Wentian lifted his palms. After which, Chu Meng and the others all retreated, severing their connection with their battle drums. Qin Wentian's palms slammed down as sword chi whistled through the air, shattering their battle drums. The souls of their battle drums fused into Qin Wentian's battle drums, and an instant later, an even more intense light enveloped Qin Wentian as the aura radiating from him grew stronger and stronger. Chu Meng and the others moved behind Qin Wentian, standing shoulder to shoulder with Yi Lingshuang on the stone platform. In the other directions, the others all did the same. The 13 alliances formed the final 13 participants. Kei-chung from the Violet Thunder sect, Shun Ting from the Great Earth sect, Shirkwang from the Heaven Crippling sect. These three were all enemies of Qin Wentian. As for the other 9 participants, there was an expert from the Battle Sword sect, while the others were all heaven chosen from ancient countries and sections. Those who could make others willingly support them were naturally the chosen from the major sections. The battle abruptly halted. The 13 participants were all enveloped by the light of their battle drums, and didn't continue their battle. They stared at each other, their battle intent radiating from them unmasked. After these 13 participants plundered the battle souls of their allies, a few of them already had auras at the 6th level of Heavenly Dipper, while the others were all at the peak of the 5th level. 13 participants. Even if there are 6 battles, there's still one more participant. One of the participants spoke. This person was clad in golden armor, and his entire body was bathed in a golden glow. He was none other than an expert from Radiant Gold, and his combat prowess was extremely high. Since that's the case, I shall avoid this battle. Heaven Crippling's gaze abruptly shifted over, landing on Qin Wentian. Staring at Qin Wentian, killing intent could be seen flickering in his eyes as he coldly stated, "As long as I kill you, the remaining 12 participants will be able to fight one-on-one." "Humph, why must it be you?" The expert from Radiant Gold spoke. Right now he was staring at Qin Wentian like he was looking at a prey. The battle soul of Qin Wentian was extremely powerful, and as long as he plundered it, he would be able to increase his strength by leaps and bounds. This was something everyone was very clear on. Upon hearing that the two of them wanted to eliminate Qin Wentian, the gazes of the crowd all landed on Qin Wentian. It wasn't because Qin Wentian was the easiest to kill, but rather, since Shirkwang had drawn their attention to Qin Wentian, it was only natural that they would choose him. Especially since Qin Wentian was the only one among them who had obtained an immortal martial medallion. Hence, they were very happy to see Qin Wentian die. Given their pride, how could they feel that they were inferior to Qin Wentian? The judgment of the envoys from the immortal martial realm had been wrong this time around. Chapter 572. When Shirkwang saw that the others wanted to contend against him, his aura instantly erupted forth as a surge of destructive energy gushed forth, fusing together with the battle drum in front of him. A shadow could be seen standing on top of the battle drum. It was none other than Shirkwang himself. It was as though he had transformed into the battle spirit of the battle drum, fusing together with it. Boom! The experts from Radiant Gold weren't willing to be outdone. They too fused together with the battle spirit of the battle drum. A terrifying shadow stood proudly on top of the battle drum. This shadow was extremely large. Its entire body was made from dark gold and exuded a terrifying penetrative might. Even before the sound of the drum rang out, a terrifying aura was already gushing forth, enveloping Qin Wentian. Despicable! Yi Lingshuang's countenance turned incredibly unsightly when she saw that all of them wanted to deal with Qin Wentian at the same time. Shun Ting and Kei-chung also made their moves. 12 surges of aura gushed forth unceasingly, pressing down on Qin Wentian. I disdain bullying a single person. Since all of us want his battle spirit, Let's do it one by one. Whoever can kill him first, the battle spirit shall belong to him. That expert from Radiant Gold coldly spoke. His voice seemed to contain a metallic aura, sharp and cold. Since this is the case, I shall be the first to strike out, Shirkwang coldly spoke. After which, as the sound of his voice faded, the sound of his drum reverberated, causing the entire space to tremble. A terrifying beam of light howled in rage as it transformed into a gigantic heaven-crippling foot that stomped down from above Qin Wentian's head, wanting to crush Qin Wentian into dust. Qin Wentian's long robes fluttered in the wind as he stood before the battle drum. His will and perception seemed to have fused together with the battle drum. It was as though he was the battle drum and the battle drum was him. Boom! A light sound rang out. The entire space trembled as a Vajra palm imprint shot out. However, it was directly crushed by the heaven-crippling foot. One person, one attack. They wanted to see who could kill Qin Wentian and seize the battle spirit from him. Naturally, their attacks wouldn't be weak, and Shirkwang's attack was extremely powerful. Seeing that the foot was about to stomp down, Yi Lingshuang and the others who were behind Qin Wentian involuntarily had expressions of nervousness on their faces. Right now, not only was Qin Wentian's life in his hands, he couldn't afford to lose. If he died, the people behind him would all suffer the same fate. Dong dong. 2 consecutive tremors, the sound of the drum vibrated, and rays of light rushed into the sky. Boom! Tens of thousands of palm prints suddenly soared into the sky, turning into raging waves that violently slammed into the heaven-crippling giant foot. With a cracking sound, the destructive heaven-crippling giant foot collapsed above Qin Wentian's head. Walala! Numerous dazzling golden spears pierced through the void. They were made of gold and moved like golden lightning, attacking Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was still as calm as ever. His eyes were as cold as ice, akin to a prideful falcon staring straight ahead. Bang! Another oppressive drumbeat reverberated through the air, causing a violent gust of wind to rise. When the thousand hands imprint blasted out once more, there were no more tens of thousands of palm imprints. However, the might contained within each palm imprint was even more terrifying than before. Even stronger and more terrifying than before. The golden spears and the gigantic palm imprints clashed against each other in the air, before both of them were destroyed. It's my turn now. A cold snort rang out. A heaven chosen from the heaven-cleaving manner launched an attack towards Qin Wentian. The sound of the drum shook the heavens, and on the surface of the drum, there seemed to be numerous gigantic axes cleaving downwards. Up in the air, a beam of light from the axe slashed downwards, as though it wanted to cleave Qin Wentian into 2. Not only that, the speed of the axes was extremely fast. At the same time he spoke, Qin Wentian slammed the drum once more. This time around there seemed to be a terrifying response, as the sound of the drum reverberated through the air. Over 10 palm imprints whistled through the air, as though they were the continuation of the earlier palm imprints. These palm imprints were even more powerful than before. The battle axes could split the heavens and earth, slashing downwards from the sky. The palm imprints transformed into beams of light that blasted towards the battle axes, directly shattering them into smithereens. However, there were still a few palm imprints that shot towards the heaven-cleaving manor's heaven-cleaving manor. The heaven-cleaving manor's heaven-cleaving manor frowned. The attack he unleashed earlier could be said to be extremely powerful, yet it was actually repelled by Qin Wentian. This attack had undoubtedly caused him to lose face. The heaven-cleaving manor's 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 palm imprints were directly destroyed. Because this attack was out of everyone's expectations, no one dared to continue their attacks on Qin Wentian in that instant. They didn't move, but Qin Wentian didn't stop. His pitch-black eyes stared at them emotionlessly, as though he could disregard everything. In his eyes there was only his own battle drum. This time around he struck the battle drum once more, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. His aura grew increasingly terrifying as the sound of the drum trembled, shaking the heavens and earth. The rumbling sounds grew even more terrifying, and the crowd could faintly sense that there were millions of palm imprints whistling through the air. However, only a single palm imprint actually appeared. At this instant, Qin Wentian's pitch-black eyes stared at Shirkwang. His gaze was akin to a sharp blade, containing the disdain and sharpness of a king, as well as the arrogance and sharpness of a demon. This gaze of his caused Shi Kuang's heart to tremble violently. Die! As the sound of his voice rang out, the killing intent in the air seemed to resonate with the word kill. That palm imprint he blasted out was like the word kill. He spat out from his mouth. It contained a towering killing might that instantly descended upon Shi Kuang. The entire space seemed to be enveloped by this killing might. Shi Kuang's countenance drastically changed as a destructive aura gushed forth frenziedly. He frenziedly slammed the drum, causing the heaven-crippling giant leg to stomp down. But at the same instant the palm imprint arrived, bringing with it a tyrannical strength, as well as the supreme aura of a demon king. Bang! A thunderous sound rang out, the sound of the drum shattering apart and Shi Kuang dying. Not only for Shi Kuang, even those from the heaven-crippling sect behind him had pale countenances. They had to pay the price for Shi Kuang's defeat as well. Shi Kuang was someone they had raised up with their own hands, and they were bound by his glory and glory. Now that Shi Kuang had died, how could they escape? The stone platform shattered under the might of the palm imprint. Only a beam of light shot towards the direction of Qin Wentian, causing Qin Wentian's aura to grow even stronger. Earlier, one of those who wanted to attack halted as they stared fixedly at Qin Wentian. Right now, even without the aid of his bloodline, Qin Wentian could already unleash the strength of a 6th-level Heavenly Dipper sovereign. Now it's 12. Qin Wentian's aura grew even stronger. Just like what was written on the stone monument, by borrowing the power of the battle drum, Qin Wentian's aura grew even stronger. Earlier, those who wanted to attack halted as they stared fixedly at the silhouette of Qin Wentian. Right now, even without the aid of his bloodline, Qin Wentian could already unleash the strength of a 6th-level Heavenly Dipper sovereign. Now there are 12 of us. Qin Wentian stared at the expert from Radiant Gold as a killing intent gushed forth from him. Since this is the case, let me experience it for myself then. A golden light flickered in the eyes of the expert from Radiant Gold. From his eyes, it was as though he could see the sharpness of the golden spear, capable of piercing the eyes of those who looked at it. The others didn't say anything. They were all searching for their own opponents. With 12 participants, there would be 6 battles. All of them wanted to defeat their opponents and plunder the battle drum souls of their opponents, allowing them to grow stronger. There was no need for Qin Wentian to continue searching. Both him and the expert from Radiant Gold erupted forth with terrifying killing intent as they clashed against each other in the air. I Chun Tian Lin Lin have rarely met a worthy opponent. Although all of you are strong, you will only be my stepping stones. The expert from Radiant Gold coldly snorted. As the sound of his voice faded, the sound of his drum shook the heavens, exuding an incomparably sharp sharpness that shot up into the clouds. A fearsome golden spear erupted forth, aiming for Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian wasn't afraid at all. With the sound of his drum, the palm imprint in the air collided with the golden spear. However, an even more terrifying might gushed forth. Chun Tianlin's eyes turned golden, and so did his palms. Once again, he ruthlessly slammed his palms onto the battle drum, causing a raging wind to howl, containing a sharpness within it. From the center of the battle drum, rumbling sounds could be heard as a resplendent golden spear that caused the sky to change color appeared. This golden spear was 10 meters long, and seemed indestructible. How strong is your palm imprint exactly? Chun Tianlin roared in rage. That golden spear pierced out, leaving a trail of golden light in the air as a terrifying whistling sound rang out, wanting to annihilate everything in its path. Qin Wentian's countenance didn't change at all. Swishing sounds rang out once more as the heavens and earth trembled. The gigantic palm imprint broke through the skies, slamming into the golden spear in the air. The golden spear slowly advanced forward, wanting to tear the palm imprint apart. But ultimately, it transformed into a resplendent golden light that illuminated the skies, disappearing from sight. The experts from Radiant Gold don't even dare to utter a single word when facing Li Tian. Within Radiant Gold, you can't even be considered the most dazzling existence, yet you still dare to be so arrogant without the immortal martial medallion. Qin Wentian's voice shook the heavens and earth, causing Chun Tianlin to laugh maniacally. Rumbling sounds rang out from his body as a golden light erupted forth, causing the entire sky to turn golden. This was the power of the gold bloodline. What a joke, you actually dare to compare yourself to Li Tian. What does the immortal martial medallion count for? Just because you have the medallion, you dare to look down on the entire world? How arrogant and ignorant. This strike of mine shall claim your life. His voice reverberated through the air as a towering golden energy gushed forth from Chan Tianlin. With a howl of rage, even his long hair turned golden as he blasted his attack onto his battle drum. The sound of his drum echoed out as golden light illuminated the skies. An even more powerful energy erupted forth from his battle drum. How can an ant know the will of a rock? Qin Wentian calmly spoke as he struck his drum once more. This time around, silence filled the air. The battlefield between him and Chan Tianlin was so silent that it was terrifying. It was as though a sense of impending death was approaching. Arrogant. Chan Tianlin howled in rage as unease appeared in his heart. However, in front of him, a fearsome might erupted forth as an even more powerful golden spear manifested. How can a dead person have the will of a rock? Chan Tianlin coldly spoke. However, as the sound of his voice faded, an overwhelming sense of impending doom descended upon him, causing Chan Tianlin and those behind him to feel their souls trembling. Rumble! An all-annihilating palm imprint erupted forth from the void. Chan Tianlin's eyes narrowed as he saw the palm imprint growing larger and larger, crushing the heavens and earth as it bore down on his head. Chapter 573. Chan Tianlin wanted to block it? But how could he block it? A gigantic palm imprint materialized from the void. The instant it appeared, it slammed down onto the head of Chan Tianlin from the radiant gold ancient country. Chan Tianlin's entire body was bathed in golden light. His long hair turned golden in color, resembling golden blades. An unprecedented terrifying golden long spear shot out from the battle drum. But at this moment the palm imprint slammed down. Chan Tianlin didn't even have time to react, and was directly engulfed by the palm imprint. With a deafening boom, the battle drum shattered, the platform crumbled. Chan Tianlin, as well as the experts from the radiant gold ancient country behind him, all died. An unexcelled genius from the radiant gold ancient country was killed in a single strike. Not long ago, it was precisely because of a single sentence spoken by Shi Kuang from the Heaven Crippling sect and Chan Tianlin from the Radiant Gold Ancient Country that caused the 12 participants to attack Qin Wentian. They came to a tacit agreement that whoever killed Qin Wentian would obtain the battle spirit within the battle drum. But after 3 strikes, Qin Wentian started his counterattack. Qin Wentian's counterattack was tyrannical and tyrannical, killing Shi Kuang. The remaining 12 decided not to target Qin Wentian alone, but to fight against each other in pairs. They wanted to see who would be the most dazzling among them all. Qin Wentian directly went to find Chan Tianlin, and just when Chan Tianlin was about to unleash his strongest attack, he was instantly destroyed by Qin Wentian with lightning-fast speed. For the other 5 groups, there was someone who ended their battle even faster than Qin Wentian. That person was none other than Ke Chang from the Violet Thunder sect. He was as powerful as ever, and right now he was fused with his battle drum. The aura he exuded was already at the 7th level of Heavenly Dipper. Extremely terrifying, able to kill his opponent with a single strike. At this moment, Ke Chang stared at Qin Wentian as his eyes flickered with destructive lightning. Qin Wentian was very strong, but so what of it? The one remaining here would be him. Ke Chang was not in a hurry to kill Qin Wentian. He was currently the strongest person here, and in order to avoid being surrounded, he knew that he should keep a low profile as much as possible, waiting for an opportunity to kill him in a single strike. Ke Chang was observing the people fighting, but Qin Wentian was observing him. There was a grudge between him and the Violet Thunder sect, yet Ke Chang had always been suppressing it. Before Fan Lu had woken up the Ox Demon, Ke Chang didn't reveal any enmity towards him. It was only when Fan Lu was about to pass through the Ox Demon's leg that Ke Chang acted. The instant he acted, Ke Chang wanted to kill Qin Wentian. Just think about it, if the Ox Demon's stomp had truly annihilated all of them, Fan Lu and Ouyang would all be dead by now. Not only was Ke Chang powerful, his methods were also ruthless and he knew how to grasp opportunities. This could be seen from the fact that he had plundered the most battle drum battle souls, allowing him to possess the greatest strength. This person, Ke Chang, was extremely ambitious. Lightning crackled around Kei Cheng's entire body as a brilliant violet light erupted forth from his palms. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows. He noticed that there were two people currently engaged in an extremely dangerous battle. At this moment Kei Cheng made his move. Both his palms shone with the might of lightning as he slammed them onto the battle drums. The Thunder God howled in rage as two clones of the Thunder God abruptly erupted forth, rushing towards the two experts who were engaged in a dangerous battle. One of them was none other than the expert from the heaven-cleaving manor, who had attacked Qin Wentian with his battle axe earlier. Although the two of them were in the midst of battle, they instantly sensed the destructive lightning descending upon them. In truth, it wasn't that they weren't prepared, it was just that the strength of the two of them were equal to each other. When the battle reached a critical point, they couldn't care less about anything else. At this moment, Kei Cheng actually threw away his pride and launched a despicable sneak attack. What could they do? The two clones of lightning slammed down, transforming into the wrath of the Thunder God, directly annihilating the two of them. Under the might of the lightning, their bodies were instantly turned into dust. Two more battle spirits from the battle drums were harvested by Kei Cheng. Kei Cheng's aura grew stronger and stronger, faintly showing signs of breaking through to the 7th level of Heavenly Dipper. Can you dare? Another thunderous roar rang out. Since Kei Cheng had already made his move, he didn't intend to stop. He launched another attack towards the other two. The others also sensed this and stopped their battle, but it was already too late. Kei Cheng's attack was already completed, and although the other two sensed it, one of them was still instantly killed while the other was injured. Qin Wentian also acted. His palms slammed onto the battle drums, causing the heavens and earth to howl in rage. Another towering might gushed forth, suppressing this entire space. Kei Cheng didn't stop. The other person was already injured. He had to finish him off in a single move. Hence he launched another attack. A dazzling lightning sword pierced through the air, piercing towards that person. Although that person did his best to defend, it was clear that he was already at the limits of his endurance. Kei Cheng slammed his drum once more. A victorious smile could be seen on his face. If he defeated this person, he would be able to break through to the 8th level of Heavenly Dipper. But at this moment, a palm imprint descended from the heavens, directly killing his prey. Only at the moment of his death did he discover that although he was a heaven chosen, in this cruel battlefield, if he made the slightest mistake, he would become the prey in the eyes of others. The person who killed him was naturally none other than Qin Wentian. For those who entered the battlefield, none of them were kind. All of them were hunters, prey at the same time. If you didn't kill others, others would kill you. This point was already set in stone the moment they stepped onto the battlefield. If he didn't act, that person's life would naturally belong to Kei Cheng. If Kei Cheng grew stronger, it would be the doomsday of everyone, including him. Qin Wentian snatched food from the tiger's mouth. Kei Cheng's sharp eyes stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian had snatched his prey. At this moment, only 5 people remained from the original 12. Qin Wentian killed 2, Kei Cheng killed 3. Shun Ting from the Great Earth Sect was also quite a character. He had also killed 2 during the chaos. Right now, Kei Cheng was the strongest, while Shun Ting was equal to Qin Wentian. As for the other 2, terror could be seen flickering in their eyes as their countenances turned incredibly unsightly. Earlier in the chaotic battle, they didn't have any results and the gap between them was instantly widened. One of them was from the Battle Sword sect. Let's sever the connection and flee from here. I will do my best to help you. Qin Wentian directly transmitted his voice to the expert from the Battle Sword sect. That expert was also a decisive person. He directly replied, "Fine, help me attack the 2 of them first and share some of the pressure with me. After that, I will leave while you destroy my battle drum." Qin Wentian nodded. He had already acted the moment his opponent transmitted his voice. He understood that the 2 people the expert was referring to were none other than Kei Cheng and Shun Ting. They posed the greatest threat, while the other expert didn't pose much of a threat. A terrifying palm imprint descended from the skies, blasting towards Kei Cheng and Shun Ting. At this moment, that expert from the Battle Sword sect directly slashed out with his sword, causing an incomparably resplendent beam of sword light to cascade through the air. The light from this sword strike was so bright that the spectators couldn't even open their eyes. This beam of sword light wasn't Kei Cheng, nor was it Shun Ting, nor was it someone else. It was none other than Qin Wentian. Bai Mao, a disciple of the Battle Sword sect, was also a personal disciple of the Sword Sovereigns of the Battle Sword sect and was a heaven chosen. If he listened to Qin Wentian's words and chose to retreat, there was a 50% chance that he would die, and the other 50% chance that he would be able to leave this battlefield alive. He knew that as long as he could kill Qin Wentian, the powerful battle spirit of Qin Wentian's battle drum would belong to him. He would then instantly be able to stand above Shen Ting, contending against Ke Chang. As long as he killed Qin Wentian, all his problems would be solved. He would then have a chance to stand at the top of this battlefield, and maybe even obtain some good fortune from the immortal martial realm. Hence, the heaven chosen of the Battle Sword sect Bai Mao chose to take the risk, launching an attack towards Qin Wentian. The might of this attack was extremely powerful. Victory or defeat would be determined by this single strike. The timing of this sword strike was extremely accurate. At the moment when Qin Wentian attacked, Bai Mao rushed towards Qin Wentian. There was no need to doubt Bai Mao's strength since he was able to reach this step. Upon seeing this sword strike, Yi Lingshuang's countenance turned incredibly unsightly. It was precisely because she told Qin Wentian of Bai Mao's identity that Qin Wentian wanted to help Bai Mao. But who would have thought that such a scene would occur? Qin Wentian, on the other hand, was extremely calm. At the instant the sword light slashed down, he had already made his move. Drumbeats reverberated through the air as countless sword hums rang out, unceasingly attacking that sword strike. When Qin Wentian decided to help Bai Mao, he had already considered the possibility that Bai Mao would act against him. As a heaven chosen of the Battle Sword sect, as well as the personal disciple of the Sword Sovereign, Qin Wentian had every reason to believe that Bai Mao would take the risk. As for the friendship between them being from the same sect, given Qin Wentian's current personality, he wouldn't use benefits to test a person's character. By killing him, Qin Wentian, Bai Mao would be able to obtain the greatest benefits and might even be able to contend against Ke Chang. How could Qin Wentian not be prepared? At the instant Bai Mao acted, the sharpness of his aura was completely unleashed, akin to an incomparably sharp sword. Rumbling sounds rang out once more. Bai Mao stared nervously at the incoming sword strike as the formless sword might directly pierced into his body. After which, the great Void Thousand imprint blasted downwards. Upon seeing this palm imprint, Bai Mao knew that he had lost the gamble. In that case, he could only accept his fate. With a thunderous boom, Bai Mao died. His battle drum shattered, and after which, a bolt of lightning swept over, slamming into his original location. Not only Bai Mao, the experts from the Battle Sword sect behind Bai Mao all died as well. At the instant Bai Mao acted, the ending had already been decided. In their final moments they were still thinking why didn't they act like Yi Lingshuang and form an alliance with Qin Wentian instead of Bai Mao. That bolt of lightning behind the palm imprint was naturally Ke Chang's attack. Sadly, he was still a step slower than Qin Wentian. At this moment, only 3 people remained on the battlefield: Ke Chang, Qin Wentian and Shen Ting. When Qin Wentian killed Bai Mao, Ke Chang and Shen Ting were both fighting to kill the last person. Ke Chang won, and after fusing together with his battle drum, his aura was at the 8th level of Heavenly Dipper. Qin Wentian's aura was at the 7th level of Heavenly Dipper. Both of them turned their gazes onto Shen Ting. At this moment, both Ke Chang and Qin Wentian were the hunters while Shen Ting had become the prey. Shen Ting instantly understood his own position as his countenance turned pale. He, a heaven chosen from the Great Earth sect, had become the prey. He said that he wanted to teach Qin Wentian a lesson. But what was ironic was that from the attitudes of Ke Chang and Qin Wentian, it was obvious that both of them had chosen him as their prey. This meant that both of them felt that he was the weakest. Qin Wentian didn't say anything. The look in his eyes had already explained everything. That emotionless gaze of his was filled with an intense self-confidence and arrogance, as though it was carved into his bones. Such a gaze caused Shen Ting to feel extremely uncomfortable. His countenance turned even paler. "If I die, you will die as well." Shen Ting stared at Qin Wentian. "Let's join forces to deal with Ke Chang. If not, will I join forces with him to deal with you?" Shen Ting clearly felt that the threat of Qin Wentian was smaller compared to Ke Chang. Hence, he hoped to join forces with Qin Wentian to deal with Ke Chang first. It would naturally be for the best if there was an opportunity for him to kill Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian didn't say anything. How could he not understand what Shen Ting was thinking? Given the current situation, Shen Ting was already destined to die. If he joined forces with Kei Cheng to deal with Qin Wentian, Shen Ting dared to put his heart at ease with Kei Cheng. Most probably, when he clashed with Qin Wentian, Kei Cheng would take his life first. I will let you have the battle drum as long as you spare me. Shen Ting knew that there was no hope when he saw Qin Wentian's silence. He could only beg for his life. Fine. Kei Cheng nodded. His palms were infused with lightning energy as though he could launch an attack at any moment. Wasn't Qin Wentian the same as well? Shen Ting was already destined to die. The final battle would be between him and Kei Cheng. Chapter 574. Go. At the instant Kei Cheng agreed, Shen Ting roared as he rapidly retreated from the battlefield. At the same time, he didn't forget to blast his battle drum, unleashing 2 attacks. Shen Ting was very clear that Kei Cheng's promise was completely meaningless. If Kei Cheng spared him, Qin Wentian would definitely kill him. Hence, at this moment, choosing to leave with the quickest speed was the wisest choice. In that case, Qin Wentian and Kei Cheng would fight over the one to shatter his battle drum instead of him. The experts from the Great Earth sect behind Shen Ting also hurriedly retreated. As expected, Kei Cheng didn't bother with Shen Ting. He lifted his drum and unleashed an attack towards Shen Ting's battle drum. His choice was very smart, but he miscalculated Qin Wentian. Sword light whistled through the air as the sound of swords pierced through the air. After leaving his battle drum, those experts from the Great Earth sect couldn't even withstand a single strike. Shen Ting's countenance was filled with terror as he stared fixedly at Qin Wentian. After which he saw a gigantic palm imprint grabbing towards him. With a thunderous boom, all the bones in Shen Ting's body were shattered. When he was retreating, he was grabbed by the gigantic palm imprint. Qin Wentian's cold eyes stared right at him. Boom! His battle drum shattered. In another direction, Kei Cheng had already destroyed Shen Ting's battle drum. His strength had grown even stronger. Have you gone mad? Shen Ting stared at Qin Wentian in shock. This was a madman. Qin Wentian actually didn't snatch his battle drum from Kei Cheng and gave it to Kei Cheng, all for the sake of killing him. If this wasn't crazy, what was? I can also teach you how to be a person. Sadly, you have to use your life to pay for this lesson. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. Shen Ting's countenance turned malevolent as he stared hatefully at Qin Wentian. Why did you do this? If you kill me, you will die as well. From the moment he woke up the ox demon, he was destined to die. Qin Wentian was as calm as ever as he slowly spoke. I killed Yi Kongfan with a cultivation base at the 5th level of Heavenly Dipper. Even if he was stronger than Yi Kongfan, I can already unleash a combat prowess at the 7th level of Heavenly Dipper. Why would I care about him shattering your battle drums? You guys said that even if I obtained the immortal martial medallion, I don't have the qualifications to be arrogant. In that case, let me gift you guys a sentence. You guys don't even have the qualifications to obtain the medallion. Why would I, Qin Wentian, care about you guys? Madman, you are a madman. When Shen Ting heard Qin Wentian's words, he roared in rage as he struggled madly. From the arrogant words spoken by Qin Wentian, he knew that from the start to the end, Shen Ting and Kei Cheng had never cared about him or Kei Cheng. Even if Kei Cheng was stronger than him now, Shen Ting wouldn't care. Asking Kei Cheng to shatter his battle drum, how crazy was that? You don't understand. The palm Qin Wentian placed on his battle drum abruptly trembled as fresh blood spurted out. Shen Ting was directly crushed by the palm imprint, dying miserably on the spot. Yi Lingshuang and the rest who were behind Qin Wentian felt their hearts trembling as they stared at the back view of Qin Wentian. This fellow was truly too arrogant. Kei Cheng's entire body crackled with lightning as purple-colored serpents danced around him. Crackling sounds rang out unceasingly, exuding an aura of destruction. Wasn't the words Qin Wentian said to Shen Ting also directed at him? That kind of arrogance, simply disregarding everything in his eyes. Regardless of Shen Ting or him, Kei Cheng, both of them weren't convinced that Qin Wentian had obtained the immortal martial medallion. Just like what Qin Wentian had said. Even if Qin Wentian had the medallion, it didn't represent anything. He didn't have the qualifications to be arrogant in front of them. However, Qin Wentian finally used a domineering tone to reply to them. I have the immortal martial medallion. You guys think that I don't have the qualifications to be arrogant? In that case, you guys don't even have the medallion. Why would I care about you guys? This was the meaning Qin Wentian wanted to express. At this moment, their gazes clashed in the air. Kei Cheng could clearly sense the self-confidence and loftiness in Qin Wentian's eyes, as though he was the sole ruler of the world. Boom! Kei Cheng stepped out, directly standing on top of his battle drum. The humming of the battle drum reverberated unceasingly, as though it had completely fused with him. His surroundings were surrounded by the shadow of the battle drum, and every single one of his attacks was able to cause the battle drum to reverberate. The truth will prove everything. Let's fight! Kei Cheng roared. The sound of his battle drum reverberated as lightning danced madly in the air. The space between the two of them turned violet as boundless lightning crackled, blasting towards Qin Wentian. Boom! Qin Wentian stepped out, similarly stepping on top of his battle drum. The humming of the battle drum reverberated as sword chi towered up the heavens, sweeping over everything. The incoming lightning and sword might collided with each other, completely annihilating each other. Lightning and sword were both proficient in offense, and their attack power was equally terrifying. Kei Cheng controlled lightning, while Qin Wentian controlled swords. The howling of lightning and the humming of sword chi clashed unceasingly in the air. Waves of destructive might cascaded down from the sky, blasting into the space between the two of them, causing the earth to shatter unceasingly. Enjoy the baptism of lightning. Kei Cheng's powerful bloodline surged, unceasingly reverberating from his battle drum. The lightning around him transformed into numerous long whips that danced in the air, occupying the entire space. Each and every one of these whips exuded an aura of destruction as they erupted forth with destructive white light. The bloodline in Qin Wentian's body also erupted with power. Demonic chi towered up the heavens as he executed the fiend transformation art. His eyes grew even deeper, filled with an unparalleled arrogance. Back! A crisp sound rang out as the lightning whips around Kei Cheng's body lashed out. Destructive white light flickered unceasingly in the air, lashing towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's palms blasted out in rage as the sound of his battle drum reverberated through the air. Instantly, numerous palm imprints shot through the air, colliding with the incoming whips. Ear-piercing crackling sounds rang out as the destructive whips directly cleaved apart the palm imprints. They were like sharp blades of destruction, slicing through the palm imprints and continuing on towards Qin Wentian. When the destructive white light neared, one could clearly sense the destructive might contained within it. Qin Wentian pressed his finger forward as the sound of his drum reverberated through the air. A heaven-breaking finger appeared in the air as boundless sword light howled, transforming into a sword chi vortex that sliced apart everything. The lightning whips in the air were similarly sliced apart. As the whips descended, Qin Wentian grabbed them with his palms as a numbing sensation of destruction gushed forth. A cold light flashed in Qin Wentian's eyes. These lightning whips didn't only contain lightning energy. There was also a destructive and numbing energy within them. If the whips truly landed on one's body, it was sufficient to cause one's entire body to be paralyzed. After which, the whips would be like a sharp blade slicing through the air. If your strength is only at this level, I'm afraid it's still not enough. Kei Cheng coldly spoke. His original cultivation base was already at the 8th level of Heavenly Dipper. Now that he was borrowing the power of his battle drum, his cultivation base was also at the 8th level of Heavenly Dipper. This was a perfect match for his original strength, allowing him to unleash his greatest strength as he pleased. The crackling sounds grew more and more terrifying. Lightning and thunder rumbled in the air as the lightning dragons in Kei Cheng's body all converged together, transforming into millions of lightning whips. Destroy! Kei Cheng roared in rage. After which, the long whips lashed out as the sound of his battle drum reverberated in unison. Lightning danced in the air as Qin Wentian only saw countless destructive whips lashing towards him. The entire space was filled with the destructive power of lightning, sufficient to cause people to feel stifled. Rise! Qin Wentian howled in rage. Instantly, the entire stone platform soared up into the air, bringing Yi Lingshuang and the others along with him, only to see that Qin Wentian's demonic chi enveloped his entire body, as he actually transformed into a demonic form. His wings spread open, protecting Yi Lingshuang and the others within. His lofty eyes stared up at the skies as he stepped out, sword chi gushing forth. His palms frenziedly blasted out palm imprints, aiming for the lightning whips slashing down from him. Break! Qin Wentian howled in rage as sword light and palm imprints unceasingly blasted up into the skies. Humph! Keichang coldly snorted. He frenziedly pounded on his battle drum as the numerous lightning whips in the air actually converged together, transforming into an incomparably thick destructive lightning whip that lashed out towards Qin Wentian. Piercing sounds rang out unceasingly as the sword light and palm imprints were all destroyed. Qin Wentian's countenance was as sharp as a sword. An astral soul heavenly hammer appeared in his hands as he abruptly smashed it down towards the gigantic drum. Numerous terrifying mountain peaks manifested, suppressing everything as they blasted out towards the skies. At the same time, he brought the battle drum and stone platform along as he dashed forward, blasting out palm imprints continuously. The pressure in the air grew even more intense as rumbling sounds echoed out. After which, a destructive palm imprint directly slammed down towards Keichang. Keichang had long been prepared for this. Qin Wentian's innate technique appeared out of nowhere. The threat it posed was extremely terrifying. With a howl of rage, a lightning law body appeared before him, and with a thunderous boom, both the lightning law body and the palm imprint were destroyed at the same time. Die! Keichang howled in rage. The lightning whips in the air disregarded everything as they slashed towards Qin Wentian. Either you die or I die. Between the two of them, one must die. Keichang was confident that Qin Wentian would definitely not be able to withstand his attacks. Qin Wentian exploded forth, unceasingly pounding on his battle drum. The mountain peaks unceasingly slammed into the skies, blocking the descending lightning whip. He then blasted out another palm imprint, smashing it towards Keichang. It's useless, you will die for sure. Keichang howled in rage. The lightning around him once again coalesced into a lightning law body, helping him to defend against the incoming attacks. Qin Wentian didn't seem to care at all. He blasted out yet another attack, slamming onto the battle drum. However, the sound of the drum was extremely silent. Boom! Keichang's mind turned red. The lightning law body in front of him was destroyed together with the palm imprint. After which, the dream devil energy invaded his mind. Die! Accompanied by a cold voice, a piercing sound rang out. An ancient halberd the color of blood manifested from the void, piercing right through the center of Keichang's brows, causing fresh blood to spurt out. Qin Wentian blasted out with his palm once more. His palm imprint descended from the heavens, aiming for the other members of the Violet Thunder sect. Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Rumbling sounds of destruction rang out unceasingly. The battle drums shattered, the platforms crumbled as the experts from the Violet Thunder sect all died. An intense light flashed, boring down on Qin Wentian. In an instant, Qin Wentian felt his strength rushing into the 7th level of Heavenly Dipper, breaking through the 8th level and directly stepping into the 9th level of Heavenly Dipper. Keichang's strength was already close to the peak of the 8th level after he fused with his battle drum. Now that it was seized by Qin Wentian, he directly stepped into the 9th level of Heavenly Dipper. Boom! The stone platforms on the battlefield exploded one after another. After which, the countless battle drums all flew towards the gigantic stone monument behind Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian turned, only to see a resplendent glow cascading down on him, enveloping Qin Wentian within. Chapter 575. The light from the stone monument shone on Qin Wentian, causing a phenomenon to manifest around him. Numerous illusory battle drums appeared, revolving around him. Boom boom. The humming sounds reverberated unceasingly throughout the heavens and earth. A powerful force gushed forth from the stone monument, abruptly smashing towards Qin Wentian. With a deafening boom, the battle drums shook the heavens, and a fearsome force permeated through Qin Wentian's body, causing him to groan in agony as he coughed out a mouthful of fresh blood. His entire person was flung through the air. Yi Lingshuang, Qin Zheng and the rest were standing together with Qin Wentian, yet they were all fine. The light from the stone monument only targeted Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's long hair fluttered in the wind. His gaze was deep as he silently cursed the ox demon in his heart. Didn't they say that as long as he became the sole survivor, he would be able to obtain the treasures? Why did he still want to be beaten up? Damox! Qin Wentian roared in rage when he saw the light from the stone monument blasting towards him. He slammed his fist onto the battle drum in front of him. Boom! The sound of the drum shook the heavens as a gigantic palm imprint broke through the air, blasting towards the stone monument. When the palm imprint landed on the stone monument, the energy from the impact was directly devoured by it. The light from the stone monument was like a lingering spirit that refused to disperse, enveloping Qin Wentian's body, causing Qin Wentian's countenance to turn incredibly unsightly to behold. Boom! A surge of destructive energy gushed forth. It was actually an illusory palm imprint, causing Qin Wentian's eyes to widen in shock. What kind of demon-level existence was this stone monument? It could even reflect attacks? Qin Wentian was speechless. He could only unleash another explosive strike, ruthlessly blasting the illusory battle drum in front of him. A surge of destructive energy directly gushed into his body, causing him to cough out blood once more. This caused Qin Wentian to feel an impulse to curse out. "I will destroy you!" Qin Wentian roared furiously. His entire body glowed with a resplendent light as he rushed towards the stone steel. A blood-red halberd appeared, bringing with it a boundless destructive might as it landed on the stone steel. Dong dong dong! The light from the stone monument grew even stronger. Qin Wentian could feel the illusory battle drums around him vibrating non-stop. Waves of energy rushed into his body. Qin Wentian didn't know how many mouthfuls of blood he had vomited. His face turned pale, but the arrogance in his eyes was still there. He attacked the haunting stone monument crazily, getting injured crazily. Until one moment, the world was filled with the reverberation of the drums. The light from the battle drums suddenly disappeared, as if it had rushed into Qin Wentian's body. Boom! The huge stone tablet trembled and then turned into a beam of light that pierced through the sky. It was filled with mysterious colors. Qin Wentian looked at all of this in astonishment, a look of disbelief on his face. Was it finally over? Wait, what is this? Qin Wentian's heart stirred. After which, he closed his eyes and in his perception, a battle drum actually appeared in his body, fusing together with him. Qin Wentian was speechless. Was this the good stuff that the ox demon had promised him? He carefully probed his body. Although he was weak due to his injuries, he discovered that after being beaten up by the stone monument, the astral energy in his body, as well as the circulation of his blood and astral energy, had become even smoother. Not only that, his will of mandates seemed to have grown more refined. This battle drum should be a treasure similar to the hatchet in foster father's body, able to fuse together with it. Qin Wentian mused. After which, with an intention of his will, the light from the battle drums enveloped his entire body, as though he was surrounded by battle drums. Wentian, try to see if there's any amplification effect to your attacks. Yi Lingshuang was astonished when she saw this scene. She recalled that her father's hatchet was able to amplify his attacks. Qin Wentian's battle drum should be able to do so as well. Qin Wentian nodded his head. After the battle drum entered his body, the suppression on his cultivation base was removed, returning him to his original cultivation base, the 5th level of Heavenly Dipper. But what was strange was that the cultivation bases of Yi Lingshuang and the others were still suppressed. Maybe because he became the only one here. It could be said that he had passed some of the tests of the immortal martial realm, and obtained the right to remove the suppression on his cultivation base. Qin Wentian lifted his palms and attacked. The sound of the battle drum echoed out as a terrifying palm imprint blasted out, causing Qin Wentian's heart to tremble. He nodded his head to Yi Lingshuang, amplification effect, and I can sense that this battle drum is able to weaken the attacks of others. This is a divine weapon that can be used for both offense and defense. The suppression on your cultivation base has been removed as well. Yi Lingshuang's eyes flashed with joy. It's indeed removed, but the 5th level of Heavenly Dipper is still insufficient. I feel that I'm about to break through soon. Qin Wentian spoke. After experiencing the baptism of the battle drum and the stone monument, he could faintly sense that he was about to break through. Go ahead and cultivate, then we will stand guard for you. Chu Meng spoke. Qin Wentian nodded his head as he glanced at the direction where the stone monument was located. There was a pathway there, and if he passed through this pathway, he would be able to continue advancing forward. However, Qin Wentian wanted to raise his cultivation base before he left this place. If not, it would be extremely difficult for him to deal with the other 80 medallions that had a higher cultivation base than him. Out of the 81 medallions, he, at the 5th level of Heavenly Dipper, could be considered the weakest among them. The others were at the 8th or 9th level of Heavenly Dipper. There was no way he could win against them. Just like Gu Lufeng, one of the 8 error-suppressing geniuses, how tyrannical was he when he was at the 8th level of Heavenly Dipper? Hence, Qin Wentian hoped that before he clashed with the others, he would be able to increase his strength as much as possible. Only then would he have more confidence. Right? Qin Wentian directly nodded his head in agreement. After which, he found a place to sit down, and with a wave of his hand, numerous yuan meteor stones appeared as he started his cultivation. As for the others, they didn't forget to clean up the battlefield and collect the treasures left behind by the fallen experts. Among these people there were quite a few heavens chosen. The amount of wealth they had on them would definitely be astonishing. The moment Qin Wentian entered a state of cultivation, he would completely forget himself. Nothing would be able to disturb him. The yuan fu in his body rumbled, emitting rumbling sounds akin to the roaring of the ocean. Chu Mang and the others exchanged glances as expressions of shock appeared on their faces. The movements of this fellow's cultivation were truly grand. Stepping into the celestial phenomenon realm is a watershed for one's strength. For some supreme heavens chosen, the constellations they manifested would be exceedingly shocking, pulling apart the gap between them and the rest. I wonder what kind of constellation Qin Wentian would manifest after he stepped into the celestial phenomenon realm. Yi Lingshuang silently mused. She was filled with anticipation for Qin Wentian's growth. After being together with Qin Wentian for a long period of time, Yi Lingshuang could faintly sense that this demon-level existence would definitely surpass her father, the human emperor. Qin Wentian, who was in a state of immersion, completely forgot the passage of time. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. At this moment there were quite a few others who came here, but after they left they all returned. Fan Lu and Ouyang Guangxing also appeared. Evidently, these people didn't appear earlier because they were trapped in the cavern of life and death or somewhere else. Among them there was a silver-robed young man whose aura was extremely terrifying, exuding the aura of a 7th-level Heavenly Dipper sovereign. This caused Yi Lingshuang and the rest to feel fear in their hearts. They all knew that this floating bridge was extremely vast, and there were some strange places where as long as you were brave enough, you could barge into it. However, the number of people who barged into it was extremely few, and the number of people who returned alive was even fewer. There were also people like Qin Wentian who had already dispelled the suppression on their cultivation bases. That person merely cast a glance in the direction of Qin Wentian before continuing on his way, leaving via the only passageway. The rumbling sounds within Qin Wentian's body grew increasingly terrifying, and finally on the 2nd day, he broke through to the next cultivation base. The instant he opened his eyes, Qin Wentian saw Fan Lu and Ouyang Guangxing. A smile appeared on his face. Luckily they were fine. You freak, you actually broke through to the 6th level of Heavenly Dipper. I barely made it out alive in the cavern of life and death, barely managing to break through to the 5th level. Ouyang Guangxing gloomily punched Qin Wentian. Not only that, Qin Wentian had also dispelled the suppression on his cultivation bases. As for what happened earlier, he had already heard from Yi Lingshuang and the rest. Fatty, I feel the pressure is too great. Fan Lu seriously mumbled, his words causing Qin Wentian to laugh. He didn't ask them what they had experienced in the cavern of life and death. He merely stated, let's move out, let's see what we'll encounter later on. Everyone nodded their heads, as they continued on the path where the monument disappeared. Not too long after they arrived at a door. I'll enter first. Fan Lu stepped forward, yet he directly slammed into the door, unable to enter. It can't be that strange, right? Fan Lu stated in a depressed tone. Let me try. Chu Mang stepped forward, but just like Fan Lu, a formless energy seemed to obstruct them, preventing them from advancing. Yi Lingshuang's gaze turned to Qin Wentian, as a strange light flashed in her eyes. No wonder some people returned earlier. Seems like only those who have dispelled the suppression on their cultivation bases would be able to exit. For the others, they have no choice but to remain here. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows. after which he stepped forward, and his body actually passed through the door without any obstruction. He could even clearly feel a surge of spatial energy. Fuck. Fan Li's eyes widened as he speechlessly stated, "Seems like we have to go back and search for a way out. It's obvious that we didn't even manage to obtain an entrance ticket." "Indeed, we have to go back," Qin Zheng stated in a low voice. Evidently, they needed to find a way to dispel the suppression on their cultivation bases before they could continue onwards. Yunmingyi didn't reply. Her eyes were as cold as ever as she turned her head and departed the area. The others followed after her. As for Qin Wentian, after he passed through the door, he arrived at another location. This place was a gigantic square plaza, and there were already several silhouettes gathered there. With a single glance, Qin Wentian saw a total of 11 experts. Not only that, he was acquainted with quite a few of them. These people were gathered in front of a pagoda in the center of the plaza. From the top of the pagoda, beams of light continuously cascaded downwards, bringing with them a mysterious energy. The top of the pagoda was naturally pointed, and when Qin Wentian inclined his head, a blinding beam of light shot over, causing Qin Wentian to involuntarily raise his hands to shield his eyes. "Sir Qin." A gentle voice drifted over. Qin Wentian shifted his hands away from his eyes as he turned his gaze in the direction of the voice. Once again, he saw a countenance that would cause one's heart to tremble. With a light smile and a single glance, it was as though it could cause one's heart to sink in. "Xian." Qin Wentian nodded his head lightly. This person was none other than Lin Xian. Qin Wentian naturally understood when he saw the people here. He had already arrived at the same location as the others on the floating bridge. Among the 11 people here, he was acquainted with those who possessed the immortal martial medallion, and were one of the 81 heaven chosen. A cold gaze landed on him. Qin Wentian sensed it as he turned his gaze over. He only saw Lu Bingyu coldly glancing at him before shifting her gaze away. There were no fluctuations in her eyes at all. "Hehe, there's a path to heaven but you don't want to walk it. There's no gate to hell but you insist on barging in." An arrogant voice drifted over. This time around, Qin Wentian saw a silhouette filled with a wild demonic qi. It was none other than the saint child of the supreme demon sect. Those who came here were all heavy-tier heaven chosen. Chapter 576. Qin Wentian didn't feel surprised. Since he had entered the immortal martial realm, he was destined to clash with these people. In the previous battles on the floating bridges, the 81 medallion holders were all on different bridges. But regardless of the test of the Black Jiao Python, the test of the Ox Demon, the Cavern of Life and Death, or even the Battle Drum battlefield, all of them were filled with the danger of death. The immortal martial realm was known as the burial ground of geniuses. Now that he had exited the floating bridges, the truly fascinating battles had just begun. Qin Wentian's gaze paused on the saint child of the supreme demon sect for an instant before shifting his eyes away, staring at the top of the conical pagoda. Gradually, he grew familiar with that blinding light. Yet Qin Wentian still couldn't see clearly what was within that beam of light. It was extremely blinding, and all he could see was a beam of intense light. Could this be an even more powerful treasure? Qin Wentian silently mused. "Sir Qin, can you guess what's up there?" Lin Xianer smiled. "Xianer, you came first. Could it be that you don't know?" Qin Wentian curiously asked. Lin Xianer shook her head, her lips twitching as she replied. "This pagoda is extremely sinister. It's basically impossible to touch the object at the top from the outside. I'm afraid there's only one way to know. Climb up the pagoda step by step, climbing to the highest peak. Only then would there be a chance." An expression of bewilderment flashed past Qin Wentian's face when he heard this. He seriously stared at the light cascading down from the top of the pagoda. Indeed, the entire pagoda seemed to be enveloped by a layer of silvery light. Since these people didn't move, it was obvious that this pagoda wasn't so easy to ascend. "How do I ascend the pagoda?" Qin Wentian asked. "It's very simple. You just have to walk up the tower. However, young Master Qin, you must be prepared before you ascend the tower. This is because the moment you take the first step, the others will follow you. At that time, their attacks will be directed at young Master Qin," Xianer said. Her voice was gentle and she explained in detail. Only then did Qin Wentian notice that the 11 geniuses before him were all maintaining the same posture. Not a single one of them moved. They all stood there quietly. It was obvious that they had fought before and were all waiting for the right time. Although the saint child of the Supreme Demon sect had killing intent towards him, he didn't move and merely stood quietly at his original location. Since I'm already here, I should at least give it a try. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with a strange light. After that, he stepped forward and walked towards the pagoda in front of him. The pagoda was very tall. The moment Qin Wentian stepped onto the edge of the pagoda, the other 11 prodigies moved at the same time. Not knowing the immensity of death, the saint child of the Supreme Demon sect coldly snorted as a towering demonic qi gushed forth from him. Qin Wentian entered the light cascading down from the top of the pagoda. The resplendent light cascaded down on him, yet it caused Qin Wentian to feel an endless pressure. There was a flight of stairs at the edge of the pagoda. With a single step, he directly ascended the pagoda. At the instant he ascended, the other 10+ people also did the same. At this moment, Qin Wentian discovered that he could actually see the silhouettes of all the geniuses in the pagoda with a single glance. All 11 of them were clearly reflected in his vision. Sir Qin, be careful. Here, any attack you launch will hit everyone at the same time. It's the same for the attacks of the others as well. As the sound of Lin Xian'er's voice faded, Qin Wentian saw the saint child of the Supreme Demon sect unleashing his attack. That was a blood-colored palm imprint that contained an incomparably violent demonic energy. The palm imprint shone with blood-colored runic light as it bore down on Qin Wentian, containing an intense destructive might. In just an instant, it had already arrived before Qin Wentian, slamming down towards him. Not only for Qin Wentian at this moment, all the other geniuses were suffering from the same attack. When the saint child of the Supreme Demon sect unleashed his attack, it would simultaneously attack the other 11. Qin Wentian's palms glowed with a blood-colored light. Lifting his palms, he blasted out a palm imprint. An explosive sound rang out as the palm imprints collided with each other. An immense pressure bore down on Qin Wentian's arm, and although it dissipated, it still caused Qin Wentian's arm to tremble slightly. However, this was only the beginning. Qin Wentian had just defended against this attack when he discovered a dazzling saber light slashing down. This saber light was as fast as lightning, slashing down from the middle of his body. The coldness of the saber light was so cold that it seemed as though it wanted to cleave him into two. Qin Wentian's eyes narrowed. He lifted both his palms and blasted out in the air. The saber light slashed down, shattering the palm imprint, but the saber light also dissipated. However, this was far from the end. Qin Wentian finally understood why Lin Xian'er had warned him to be careful. Next, 4 to 5 consecutive attacks blasted over, causing Qin Wentian's blood and qi to churn wildly. There was no way for him to stop, because at the same time he was enduring the attacks, everyone else was suffering the same as him. If they wanted to neutralize the attacks, they could only do so. The weakest among them would definitely be the first to be eliminated. A thought flashed through Qin Wentian's mind. Before him, was there someone else who had already been killed? Although there were no corpses here, one must know that if the attacks of these geniuses landed perfectly, there would definitely be no corpses left. Sir Qin, be careful. A clear voice rang out. After that, Qin Wentian saw Lin Xian'er's silhouette entering his sea of consciousness. The melody of a zither rang out, resonating in his heart. Amidst this killing intent, it actually caused one to feel a sense of joy in the heart and the soul. Qi. Amidst the melody, a killing note abruptly blasted out, aiming for his throat. Despite Lin Xian'er's warning, Qin Wentian's reaction was still delayed for a moment. The ancient halberd in his hand slashed out, shattering the note. After which the ancient halberd whistled out once more. And with a piercing sound, Lin Xian'er's silhouette vanished from sight. You are still not dead? A howl of rage rang out, causing everyone's eardrums to tremble violently. It felt as though there were millions of demonic beasts pressing down on them. Qin Wentian saw the silhouette of the saint child of the Supreme Demon sect vanishing from his original location, rushing towards all of them, as well as Qin Wentian. Kill! The silhouette of the saint child of the Supreme Demon sect enlarged before Qin Wentian's eyes, transforming into a giant that towered up into the skies. Punching out, a blood-colored light flashed frenziedly, as though there were millions of blood-colored demonic wolves rushing towards Qin Wentian. Each and every one of the demonic wolves had blood-colored eyes, and the way they stared at people caused their hearts to tremble in fear. Everyone frenziedly clashed against the saint child of the supreme demon sect. The flames of their battle ignited. A surge of blood-colored demonic qi gushed forth from Qin Wentian, soaring up into the skies, enveloping his entire person within. Qin Wentian's physique also grew taller, resembling a descendant of an ancient demon king. His eyes were incomparably lofty, capable of penetrating through the hearts of others. In the center of his brows, there was a vertical eye that shot out a terrifying demonic light. Wielding a gigantic blood-colored ancient halberd, Qin Wentian's arms were clad in demonic armor. The fiend transformation art had fully equipped him. The gigantic blood-colored halberd trembled, bringing with it a boundless might. Qin Wentian's ancient halberd slashed out in the air. Everywhere the ancient halberd landed, the space around it trembled violently. The blood-colored demonic wolves were all annihilated one after another. This halberd strike contained a blood-colored frenzy, shattering all the attacks in front of him. Sir Qin's strength has grown stronger again. Lin Xian'er's voice was gentle. She sat down and strummed her zither, as though she was preparing to take a defensive stance instead of continuing to attack. Beside Qin Wentian, Lu Bingyu moved. It was as though she was standing in the center of the pagoda. Snowflakes drifted down as a surge of ice-sealing energy gushed forth, swiftly freezing the entire space. Qin Wentian shivered involuntarily as he stared at the ice-cold silhouette wielding a sharp sword. She was like a proud and aloof plum blossom, blooming proudly in the midst of extreme snow and ice. She was Lu Bingyu, the favorite disciple of the Plum Mountain Sword Sovereigness. Not only did Qin Wentian feel cold, he could also sense the sword qi. This sword qi seemed to have melted into the snow and ice in the air, fusing into the drifting frigid wind, slashing at his body, wanting to break through his defenses. Yet from the start till now, Lu Bingyu merely stood quietly in the center. She had yet to unleash her attack. Busy. Lu Bingyu's hand moved. Her sword gleamed with a cold light akin to the winter snow. The drifting snowflakes in the air all exuded an intense killing intent. A sword slashed out. This sword was so cold and aloof, just like Lu Bingyu herself. Qin Wentian only saw Lu Bingyu's silhouette piercing towards him, causing the snowflakes in the air to swirl about. The snowflakes transformed into a vortex, unceasingly piercing towards his body. Each snowflake was like a sharp sword destroying his defenses. Qin Wentian couldn't see the sword light anymore. He could only see the snowflake vortex rushing towards him. These snowflakes were as sharp as swords. Qin Wentian stepped out as the ancient halberd once again stabbed out explosively. This halberd strike was formless, penetrating through the snowflake vortex. When the blood-colored ancient halberd came into contact with the snowflakes in the air, a terrifying pulsating energy gushed forth in all directions, shattering the snowflakes in the air as it collided head-on with the absolute killing sword in the vortex. The ancient halberd froze as cracks appeared on its surface. With a deafening bang, the ancient halberd completely shattered. But at the same time, the sword also shattered. The disciple that the Plum Mountain Sword Sovereigness values the most is truly extraordinary. Qin Wentian silently mused. This sword strike wasn't the strongest attack of his opponent. He himself had held back, but so did his opponent. However, one of them couldn't hold on any longer and died under Lu Bingyu's sword. His body lightened. Qin Wentian felt the pressure from the pagoda vanishing. After which, he saw the other participants stepping up into the air at the same time. With one eliminated, they would be one step closer to the top of the pagoda. Qin Wentian similarly stepped up into the air. Staring at the dazzling white light, as well as the silk threads descending from above, he couldn't help but feel shock in his heart. Only 11 heaven-chosen remained. Was it destined that only one person would be able to walk to the top? The immortal martial realm had layers upon layers of selections, and the demon-level geniuses that emerged were all extremely terrifying existences that could suppress all heaven-chosen. In that case, what was the ultimate goal of the immortal martial realm? Could it be that the rumors in the royal sacred region were true? Immortals' inheritances? The immortal martial realm had immortals. Chapter 577. Qin Wentian stably took a step forward as he inclined his head and stared at the dazzling white beam of light in the air. If he wanted to ascend to the peak, he had to trample all the other geniuses beneath his feet. He wouldn't show any signs of weakness or hesitation. Qin Wentian was very clear that this wasn't the final step. There were still other geniuses fighting in other places that he didn't know of. If he couldn't even ascend to the peak here, it would mean that he had become a stepping stone for others. How would he answer to those brothers who sent him here? The immortal martial realm was a burial ground for geniuses, a place where only 9 out of 10 people survived. If one couldn't become one of the most dazzling geniuses, everything they did would be meaningless. When the people of the royal sacred region looked up to the most dazzling geniuses, they would occasionally mention him, Qin Wentian. They would only remember that a certain genius had trampled on him, Qin Wentian, to obtain glory. It's just that if I continue fighting like this, even if I manage to ascend to the peak, the astral energy in my body would be completely depleted. Qin Wentian gradually got used to the unceasing white beam of light. After that, he seriously surveyed the remaining 11. Any one of them was more outstanding compared to Kei Chang and Shun Ting. If not, they wouldn't have been able to reach this step. After taking a step towards the top of the pagoda, everyone tactfully stopped their attacks. Everyone knew very well that once someone started to attack, unless someone was eliminated, the battle would not stop. Since none of you are willing to act, Xian will play a tune for all of you, Lin Xian gently spoke. After which, she strummed her zither and started playing. The melody was still as gentle as ever. Beams of illusory light radiated from her zither. And not long after, everyone was brought into her illusionscape. Sir Qin, we meet again. Lin Xian once again appeared in front of Qin Wentian. The situation was so similar to back then in the Immortal Ripple Pavilion. This time around, I'm afraid I have to offend you. Qin Wentian's voice was calm. There were no fluctuations to it at all. It was as though he was thinking back to that beautiful night, the moonlight cascading down on Lin Xian's silhouette. The melody of the zither lingered in the air. How beautiful it was. Lin Xian didn't act like the rumors seducing others. From that gentle smile of hers, one could feel the pride in her heart. She who was as tranquil as still water was like a lofty yet gentle phoenix, waiting for someone to sing with her. Qin Wentian's impression of Lin Xian wasn't bad. Not only because she had spoken up for him and offended the saint child of the supreme demon sect, it was also because her radiant smile was so pleasing to the eye. However, since they were both going to ascend the tower, they were destined to compete. Xian will also treat it seriously. Of course, if anyone can break free from the illusion and attack first, it will be a huge threat to the others. Lin Xian intentionally or unintentionally spoke. Her words were undoubtedly reminding Qin Wentian that right now, he had been dragged into an illusionscape by Lin Xian's zither melody. Although he had yet to break free, if the others managed to break free, they would all be in danger. Be careful. Qin Wentian spoke. The ancient halberd appeared in his hand. Qin Wentian stared at Lin Xian's many clones, and his silhouette flickered, transforming into a series of afterimages as he stabbed out with his ancient halberd. Piercing sounds rang out unceasingly as Lin Xian's clones were destroyed one after another. The zither melody drifted over from all directions. Each and every one of Lin Xian's clones were capable of strumming the zither strings, using the zither melody to attack. The white light radiating from the zither melody was akin to resplendent blades, containing a sharpness capable of reaping lives. Although Sir Qin's strength has increased, Xian's isn't stagnant either. Lin Xian's voice drifted over. Her clones were destroyed and then reborn. This was originally an extremely powerful illusionscape, where everything was illusory and real. Who could tell what was real and what was fake? The silky threads formed from the zither melody were like a formless silver net of slaughter, enveloping Qin Wentian within as they unceasingly shot towards Qin Wentian. Illusion. Qin Wentian thought back to his previous confrontation with Lin Xian. Maybe he wouldn't even be able to find her true body. Did he really defeat her back then? Maybe. The murderous melody slammed into Qin Wentian's body, pulling him out from the illusionscape. Lin Xian was still quietly playing the zither. Her eyes were tightly shut. Her long eyelashes fluttered slightly, wanting to break free from the illusionscape she created. She knew that if one of them managed to break free from the illusionscape, then Qin Wentian's attacks wouldn't only be a threat to others, but also to her. The blood-colored ancient halberd in his hands radiated a dazzling light. Qin Wentian dashed out as the ancient halberd in his hands exploded outwards. In that instant, the eyes of everyone abruptly snapped open, as an intense cold light gleamed in their eyes. Qin Wentian's true body was clearly still standing at his original location, but at this instant, everyone felt as though they were inches away from him. The others also had the same feeling. Qin Wentian's ancient halberd directly appeared before them. This was one of the strangest aspects of the pagoda battle. At the instant Qin Wentian unleashed his attack, everyone started to defend. This meant that both Lin Xian'er and Qin Wentian were attacking them at the same time. Instantly, many of them broke out in cold sweat. When one of them launched an attack, they would always choose to defend because before Qin Wentian arrived, they had already tested it out. When the two of them launched their attacks would be directly targeted at each other instead of being targeted at everyone else. This was clearly an extremely dangerous action. When their attacks landed, they would be countered by someone else, and would instantly be forced into a passive state. But this time around it was different. Because Lin Xian'er's attack was broken by Qin Wentian, but they weren't. They were still in the process of enduring the attacks while Qin Wentian launched his own attack. Lu Bingyu, who was at the side, radiated an incomparably sharp aura. She slashed out like a beam of light, disintegrating Qin Wentian's attack. The saint child of the supreme demon sect howled in rage, wanting to transform into a demon. The power he blasted out was akin to the howling of 10,000 demons, breaking apart Qin Wentian's attack. However, not everyone was as strong as Lu Bingyu and the saint child of the supreme demon sect. A piercing sound rang out as the ancient halberd directly penetrated through the throat of one of them. He stared at the silhouette of Qin Wentian in front of him as a venomous expression flashed on his face. A beam of light cascaded down as the pressure vanished once more. Qin Wentian stood at his original location, his countenance gleaming with sharpness. This was the first time he took the initiative to attack. In that instant earlier, he actually felt as though he was fighting against everyone alone. This feeling was extremely marvelous. Boom! Everyone lifted their feet and continued advancing up the pagoda. Every time someone was eliminated, they would be able to ascend to the next level. This time around, everyone was even more cautious than before. After the earlier exploration, they had a clearer understanding of the rules of combat in this pagoda. It was very interesting but also very dangerous. Diagonally opposite to Qin Wentian was a man clad in luxurious robes. His body radiated an extremely dangerous fiery aura, yet from the start till the end, he had yet to launch an attack. But just from the way he defended against Qin Wentian's attack earlier, one could already see how terrifyingly powerful this man was. He had always been waiting for an opportunity and was hiding among the crowd. The person beside Lin Xian'er was also extremely powerful. His eyes flickered with a brown light, causing people to feel a sense of terror. He was the same as the young man in luxurious robes. He had yet to act. These two, the saint child of the supreme demon sect, Lin Xian'er and Lu Bingyu, were the 5 people that Qin Wentian felt posed the greatest threat to him. Since none of you want to reveal your true strength, I shall force you all to do so. Qin Wentian stepped forth as his sword-type astral nova erupted forth. A tyrannical sword intent gushed forth, instantly enveloping everyone. They could sense that Qin Wentian was currently walking towards them. Boom! Qin Wentian's feet stomped down. Every step he took contained a sword intent akin to a myriad of heart-piercing swords. Qin Wentian's eyes were as sharp as swords, and the astral nova floating around him also emitted a resplendent sword-humming sound, unceasingly pressing down. Boom boom. Every step he took, the sword chi grew stronger and stronger. Everyone was seriously resisting because they could clearly sense that the sword intent was still growing stronger. It was as though their entire bodies were enveloped by a terrifying sword chi, pressing down on their hearts. The might of the 7 Annihilation swordplay grew more and more terrifying. At the instant Qin Wentian's 7th step landed, the entire pagoda was enveloped by a towering sword might. Everyone was frenziedly resisting it. However, nobody noticed that at the instant Qin Wentian's 7 Annihilation swordplay landed, the young man who had been silent all this while suddenly acted. His grasp of timing was extremely precise. At the instant his palms entered the pagoda, beams of blood-colored light radiated from his palms, blasting towards those who were still resisting the 7 annihilation swordplay. Qin Wentian felt an intense sense of danger when he saw the blood-colored light speeding towards him. Fast, too fast, so fast that he couldn't even react in time. Busy. Qin Wentian could only attack with the remaining might of his sword qi, sweeping towards the blood-colored light. Fortunately, the attack power of the blood-colored light seemed to be very weak. When it came close to Qin Wentian, it was erased by the sword light. However, some people weren't so lucky. The blood-colored light actually rushed into the bodies of 4 people at the same time. A scream was heard. Qin Wentian looked in the direction of the scream, and saw the vitality of one person instantly wither away. Very soon, his face turned ashen. No! Another person roared. Qin Wentian felt the pressure on his head loosen. He took a step up, and then the pressure loosened again because a second person had died. He once again moved towards the top of the pagoda. Qin Wentian took 4 consecutive steps and stared blankly at the 4 geniuses below who had lost their vitality. All of them had the same characteristic. After they died, a brown poisonous scorpion appeared on their bodies. Those who were still alive felt their scalps go numb as they stared at the figure. Sky Poison Valley Poison Scorpion. Lin Xian'er's beautiful eyes changed as she stared at the brown-eyed young man. Fear still lingered in her heart. She didn't know his real name, and in fact very few people had seen him before. She only knew that there were a few extremely dangerous geniuses from the Sky Poison Valley in this generation, and this poison scorpion was one of them. There's still 6 people left. This is much more comfortable. Poison Scorpion's voice was low. He inclined his head and glanced upwards. They had already arrived at the center of the pagoda. The light cascading down from above grew increasingly resplendent, causing a bright light to flash in Poison Scorpion's eyes. Were they nearing their target? Chapter 578. There were only 6 people remaining on the pagoda. They were Qin Wentian, Lu Bingyu, Lin Xian'er, the saint child of the Supreme Demon Sect, Poison Scorpion, as well as the young man clad in luxurious robes whom Qin Wentian had noticed earlier. Qin Wentian cast a deep glance at Poison Scorpion. Indeed, as he had expected, the remaining people were all extremely dangerous characters. The Sky Poison Valley was one of the 9 great sections. Since this brown-eyed young man was able to cause Lin Xian'er's expression to change, he naturally had his own terrifying aspects. Not only that, he had already displayed to everyone how dangerous he was. That's right. Although he had only acted once, and it wasn't even a frontal attack but a poison attack, this caused everyone to feel even more trepidation. The more dangerous a person was, the more fatal they would be. He was able to kill people without even noticing, and earlier he had already killed 4 powerful Heaven Chosen. If they were to fight against each other, they would have to experience countless rounds of intense battles before they could eliminate those 4. Indeed, I feel much more comfortable now. As the sound of Poison Scorpion's voice faded, the young man in luxurious robes continued to speak. His deep eyes seemed to contain a dangerous aura of destruction as he swept his gaze across the other 5. Every single one of them wanted to get a clear idea of who their enemies were. To them, aside from themselves, everyone else was an enemy. I have a suggestion. Why don't we make an agreement? Starting from a certain person, we will take turns to fight, allowing him to fight to his heart's content. The others are not allowed to interfere, and we will see who will be blasted off the pagoda. How about it? The gaze of the young man in luxurious robes lingered on Lu Bingyu for a moment. Can you guarantee that the others will follow the agreement? What if there are people scheming against us? Lin Xian'er gently asked, as she glanced at Poison Scorpion who was beside her. That would require everyone to be more careful. For example, if I'm in a state of constant attack, if there are people scheming against me, I would be the only one fighting against them. But the moment I stop, you guys have to be on your guard. Don't be like earlier, getting bitten by a poisonous scorpion. The young man in luxurious robes casually laughed. Naturally, if there are people who don't wish to initiate an attack, they can choose to skip it. I don't have any objections. A strange glint flashed in Poison Scorpion's brown eyes, causing the crowd to laugh coldly in their hearts. Of course he wouldn't have any objections. In terms of sneak attacks, Poison Scorpion of the Sky Poison Valley should be the most proficient. The others were all on guard against him. At least this way the battle wouldn't be so chaotic. I have no objections. The Saint Child of the Supreme Demon Sect was extremely confident in his own strength, hence, he agreed. Since all of you have put it this way, Xian can only agree. However, if Xian is truly not a match for them, I hope that you can show mercy and at the very least give Xian a chance to escape. Even if I miss this chance and have no way to enter the pagoda again, Xian can only accept it. The smile on Lin Xian's face caused the hearts of those who saw it to stir. It was truly hard for them to kill such a beautiful woman. Lin Xian's display of weakness caused the crowd to feel extremely puzzled. Earlier, those who were defeated had all died. There was no chance for them to escape. The reason why Lin Xian could say such words was because she was a female, causing people to not mind it that much. If it was the Saint Child of the Supreme Demon Sect, it would be impossible for him to say such humiliating words. But naturally there was another reason. It would cause people to look down on her. Qin Wentian smiled, tacitly agreeing. Lu Bingyu didn't say anything. She was as cold as ever. She didn't deny nor reject. Since this is the case, let me be the first to attack. The young man in luxurious robes still had a faint smile on his face. However, the aura radiating from him caused people to feel an increasing sense of danger. He lifted his palms as a scorching heat instantly gushed forth, bringing with it the power of annihilation. He stretched his hands out and pressed them into the pagoda. Instantly, his attack blasted towards the crowd. The crowd only felt the silhouette of the young man in luxurious robes appearing before their eyes, launching an attack directly at them. Qin Wentian lifted his palms and blasted them towards the incoming attack. However, he only saw the lips of his opponent curling up in a cold smile. A violent surge of flames erupted forth as a pair of blood-colored flaming wings appeared on his back. A fearsome heat gushed forth, and as he pressed his palms downwards, Qin Wentian could see numerous blood-colored phoenixes flying towards him, exuding boundless might. Qin Wentian's blood surged as a blood-colored light towered up into the skies. His body was clad in demonic armor as he blasted out with his arms, colliding head-on with the sharp claws of the blood-colored phoenix. He only felt his arms trembling violently from the impact. Phoenix cries resounded through the 9 heavens. His opponent spat out streams of black-colored flames. Each of the flames was like a flower of destruction, containing a fearsome killing might. Qin Wentian blasted out with both his palms at the same time, causing rumbling sounds of his palms to shatter the heavens and earth, clashing violently against the descending fireballs. Just like what they had agreed, the young man in luxurious robes continued to unleash attacks while the other 5 were defending. However, the young man in luxurious robes was only one person. It was impossible for his attacks to target all 5 of them at the same time. He could only target one person at a time, and the one who was having the hardest time facing his attacks was none other than Lu Bingyu. This was because the young man in luxurious robes was clearly targeting her defense, and was constantly adjusting his attacks. The young man in luxurious robes was proficient in fire-attributed energy, while Lu Bingyu was proficient in ice. Fire and frost collided, and their battle was the most intense. The young man in luxurious robes was surnamed Li. He was a heaven chosen from the Li clan in the southern domain of the royal sacred region, Li Hantian. He was also the elder brother of the personal disciple of the Plum Mountain Sword Sovereigness, Li Hanyu. He knew that Lu Bingyu was the senior apprentice sister of his younger sister, and was even more highly regarded by the Plum Mountain Sword Sovereigness compared to his younger sister, Li Hanyu. In addition, back then when they fought in Yi country, the Plum Mountain Sword Sovereigness snatched away Yi Qingyun's treasure and gave it to Lu Bingyu. And now Li Hantian actually wanted to determine who was superior and who was inferior to Lu Bingyu. Have you had enough? A cold voice rang out from Lu Bingyu's mouth, containing a hint of killing intent, causing those who heard it to involuntarily shiver. The anger of a beauty is actually so moving, Li Hantian teased. The coldness radiating from Lu Bingyu grew stronger and stronger, faintly exuding an aura that could freeze mountains and rivers. The entire space started to freeze, and a terrifying coldness gushed forth from Lu Bingyu's body. She then spoke, "Since you want to fight, I shall grant you your wish." As the sound of her voice faded, Lu Bingyu stepped out, as though she had also rushed into the pagoda. At this moment, the pressure on Qin Wentian and the others abruptly vanished. They only saw two silhouettes within the pagoda's glow. These two silhouettes were none other than Lu Bingyu and Li Hantian. Lu Bingyu was evidently enraged. She unsheathed her sword. The coldness radiating from it was akin to a sword of ice. As the sword manifested, the frost within 1,000 miles transformed into snow. Sword chi danced in the air as the phoenix bathed in flames was covered in a layer of frost. Li Hantian's countenance drastically changed. At this moment, he actually felt an overwhelming might radiating from Lu Bingyu. He knew that he had still underestimated this woman. She was the most favored disciple of the Plum Mountain Sword Sovereigness. Lu Bingyu's sword pierced out, dispelling the frost within 1,000 miles. This sword strike of hers was more than twice as powerful as the one she used earlier. Li Hantian wanted to retreat, yet he only saw the gigantic frost sword extending out, slashing apart the blood phoenix. Just when Li Hantian wanted to retreat from the pagoda, the sword slashed apart his body. But before blood could flow out, his body had already been frozen solid. Another Heaven's Chosen had fallen. The Battle Sword sect had the strongest individual combat prowess among the 9 great sections. Although it was impossible for every disciple to be the strongest, the average strength of those outstanding disciples could indeed suppress the other sections. Although this Lu Bingyu wasn't as famous as the era-suppressing genius Ji Feishue, just based on the magnificence of that sword strike, she shouldn't be too far off. Not only that, everyone also knew that within her body, the Plum Mountain Sword Sovereigness had obtained the human emperor's treasure for her. Lu Bingyu retracted her sword and stood at her original location from the start till the end. But earlier, the spectators had clearly seen the battle between her and Li Hantian within the pagoda. This was the marvelous aspect of the pagoda. The remaining 5 took another step forward, getting closer to the top of the pagoda. However, the hearts of the spectators were extremely heavy because the remaining opponents were getting stronger and stronger. "It's your turn, Poison Scorpion," the saint child of the Supreme Demon Sect spoke. Poison Scorpion's brown eyes swept over everyone as he launched his attack. A gust of fishy wind gushed over, causing Qin Wentian to instantly hold his breath. At the same time, a screen of swords appeared around him, dissipating the poisonous gas. The fishy wind continued gushing out, causing the vision of the spectators to gradually turn blurry. Qin Wentian stared at the fishy wind in front of him as he furrowed his brows. After which, he saw a gigantic scorpion king clad in armor, swinging its tail straight at him. Is this poison scorpion a human or a demon? The hearts of the spectators trembled. A blood-colored ancient halberd appeared in Qin Wentian's hands as he violently smashed it towards the scorpion's tail. At the instant of impact, the scorpion's tail was directly shattered into pieces. Droplets of fresh blood gushed out, shooting towards Qin Wentian with lightning speed. Qin Wentian's left hand swiftly blasted out a palm strike, slapping away the droplets of blood. However, that poisonous scorpion continued getting closer and closer, stabbing towards him. This caused Qin Wentian to hesitate. After which, a cold glint of light flickered in his eyes as the ancient halberd pierced forwards. Piercing sounds rang out as the venomous scorpion was torn apart. Drops of fresh blood gushed out, transforming into a rain of blood. Qin Wentian waved his hand and instantly, a blood-colored light filled with a destructive current soared up into the air, engulfing the rain of blood. How dangerous, Qin Wentian silently mused. The blood of this poisonous scorpion was something he mustn't touch. At this moment, a cold and sinister beam of light shot over, causing Qin Wentian's heart to tremble violently as a sense of extreme danger rose in his heart. This isn't right. A crisp sound rang out as that sense of danger vanished. After which, Qin Wentian saw 2 silhouettes clashing within the pagoda. So it turned out that earlier when the saint child of the Supreme Demon Sect wanted to launch a sneak attack, he was intercepted by Lin Xian. Previously, I've always wanted to spar with Fairy Lin. Now it's the perfect time. The saint child of the Supreme Demon Sect laughed as the 2 of them clashed. Me too. Another voice rang out. Poison Scorpion actually rushed into the battlefield, shooting out a beam of blood-colored light towards Lin Xian, turning the situation into a chaotic battle between the 3 of them. The two of you are bullying a weak girl like Xian'er. Isn't this a little too ungentlemanly? Lin Xian'er's beautiful eyes flashed with a strange light. She was preparing to leave the battlefield, but she soon discovered that she couldn't do so. It was as though the moment she entered this battle, she would never be able to leave. You're tuning into the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.